What's up, babies? I'm EnviroBoy. This is my channel. We are sitting here gonna do some writing. Oh man, goodness, my camera's off center. Why does this happen? You would think that it would like stay centered every time. Or does? It does. Hold on, is that better? That's better. The question is, can we get it even better? Oh, I think that looks better. All right, there we go. Hi. Never mind me and my obsession with making everything just right. See, watch, and now I'm gonna move, and now it's gonna be all off center again. we do the best we can. Hello, welcome. Hopefully everyone is having a good day today. It's a good day over here. It started off a little rainy, but now it's getting pretty sunny out. It's one of those nice like late spring, early summer days at this point. Excuse me, at this point where it's like comfortable. Like, that sounds like such a general term, but it's like it's not too cold, not too hot. Like I just got a nice light sweater on. You can't really see it. Just like a nice light little fleecy going on here, and it's just it's perfect. It's perfect. It's a great day here, and I hope that vibe is reaching everyone else in the world, because we all deserve to be having a good day. So thank you for being here and spending some time with me. We're gonna go ahead and do some writing. It's Thursday, which means it's writing day. I'm looking forward to it. I've been really happy. I've actually been very, feeling very, I don't know that inspired is exactly the right word, maybe more motivated, excited about writing. Like, it ebbs and flows, comes and goes. I don't, anyone who's, dang it, it is off center again. Shoot. Hold on. Wrong way. Hold on. There we go. There. I don't want to move again, just gonna get off center. Sorry. Anyway, anyone who does any writing is probably well aware that you go through fits where it's like sometimes you're just super motivated, super excited about stuff you're writing, and then other times you just kind of get that writer's block and you just kind of feel a little stuck. And I feel like I've had a few weeks where I was just kind of stuck, but lately I've been really feeling excited about all the writing. So I'm glad we get to sit here and do a little bit more of that. It's always nice to just kind of sit here and spend some time being creative, and I don't know, I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad we're here. So I think yeah, I'm gonna bring us over and let's just get to it. I always do all this talking and stuff, but after a certain point I just kind of am like, why am I sitting here talking about it instead of doing it? I'm still doing it. I'm still sitting here talking and not actually doing anything. So I'm gonna bring us over. There we are. As usual, I'm gonna have us just warm up a little bit. We are going to continue working on our campaign that we've been working on. But I am going to, as we've been doing, warm up a little bit with some work on our ongoing rune enchantment type of homebrew thing that we've been working on, right? Because I love that there are runes so you can modify your own weapons and stuff in Pathfinder, but they don't really have that system in D&D, which is too bad because D&D is definitely the more accessible to new players, just the way it's designed and because of the familiarity. Not saying that it's necessarily the best, just it's accessible because of how present it is, but it doesn't have any sort of rune system, and I just think that's a shame. So we're sitting here, as the warm-up creativity, to get our brain blood flowing a little bit. Been sitting here working on this rune system, where we are slowly going through the rules as written spells, like the big spell book, and slowly turning each of them into a potential rune/enchantment system. And it's been a popular thing among my players, so I continue to do it. Because I'm all about making my players happy. In between instances of making my players miserable as the DM. That's the hot and cold line you have to tread as a DM. Is sometimes you make your players happy, and other times you make them miserable. It's all about that yin and yang. But they like this system. I have fun creating them, so we're just gonna go ahead and do that for a little bit to warm things up here. Let me bring us over. Let's just continue where we left off. We're working on the abjuration level 5 spells. Hey, Edwin Sue, how's it going? Good to see you. Glad to see you here. So let's see here. We're going to go up to 5th level here. Filter them spells, baby. There we go. Alright, so we did... The last one we did was Banishing Smite, wasn't it? That was kind of a cool one. Yeah. Yeah, Banishing Smite is a kind of a cool idea for putting on a weapon or something like that. It's a neat one. But the next one... Circle of Power. Okay. So we're going to just, as per usual, just copy the spell. Words verbatim here. Circle of Power. And then we'll just go ahead and paste it right here so we can massage the language as needed. Oh wow, this one actually included the space there, which is weird. It doesn't normally do that. I mean, easy fix, doesn't really matter. I'm just... OneNote's being weird. It's already starting off being weird, and that's gonna... Well, that doesn't bode well, because OneNote gets really weird from time to time. I'm already too committed to change the system I use, and for the most part, OneNote works great, but... Hey, Tuki. Good to see ya. Alright, so we've got here. Divine energy radiates from, not you, from the item. The item. And the item. Alright, Tuki, as long as... Any time you come back, I'm happy to see it. Doesn't matter how long it's been. Divine energy radiates from the item, distorting and diffusing magical energy within 30 feet of the item. Until the spell ends, the sphere moves with the item. Centered on the item. Little mundane, but hey. You know what? We can do it. The good news is that so far I don't really think we need to make a whole lot of changes. Duration. Each friendly creature in the area has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be perfect. The duration. Yeah, I think that's good as it is. We don't really need to do anything else to it. It's centered on the item rather than the person, right? So it's like the item is like it creates a little bubble for y'all to hide in. Additionally, when an affected creature succeeds on a saving throw made against a spell or magical effect that allows it to make a saving throw to take only half damage, it instead takes no damage if it succeeds on the saving throw. Perfect. That one's really good to go as is. This one's another one of those ones that's kind of tailor-made to really be an enchantment, because you just like make it so that it's centered on the item, not the person, and it all works out great. So this one, as far as the type of item, it can go on anything. You can put it on your armor, you can put it on your weapon, you can put it, I would recommend putting it on something that you can pocket, so that way you can like toss it and share the item in theory. Depending on how your group, wants to handle like being bonded to weapons and stuff like that. I tend to play pretty fast and loose with that, because I think it's really fun when my players can have a whole bunch of magical stuff going crazy and crazy town banana pants in the battlefield, but that's just my personal style. Some people like it to be a bit more under control, which makes perfect sense too. But at any rate, type of item can be placed on anything. Can be imbued on any item. Bada bing, bada boom. Still working on the runes thing? Yep, that is exactly what we're doing right now. That'll be a nice long ongoing project, because there's a lot of spells. Lots of spells. So then the mechanics for it, how it's cast, this one is pretty easy. Cast once per day by speaking the command word. Easy enough. The range, what's the range of the bubble? What did it say? 30 feet. 30 feet. Range. 30-foot radius. Oops. Radius. Bubble. And then the duration was 10 minutes, I saw. Duration is 10 minutes. And then, I mean, these things, we don't really need a whole lot of additional stuff here. There's not going to be like a DC or anything like that. So we don't need to worry about that. And I don't think there's any additional notes. This one's kind of tailor-made to be I mean, like, essentially when you cast it, you turn yourself into an enchanted item, so it kind of is tailor-made to be put on an enchanted item. Which is great. Makes our job nice and easy. Yeah, I think that's all we need. I think that's all we need. We can give ourselves an example item. For this one, my first thought for this one, actually. So, again, just to, check ourselves and make sure we're staying consistent, we can go to sort of the notes that I put on these. Because I try to make sure there's some consistency about, like, how common these items are. I don't want people to just, like, be able to go to the dime store and buy 7 level 9 enchanted items or anything like that, nor do I want a little cantrip thing to be treated as some sort of godly weapon when it's just like, a glove of mage hand or whatever. It's like, that's a pretty low level thing. That's pretty common. So I've kind of created this system of consistency so that way I can sort of keep track and keep myself in line about how common and how powerful an item ought to be. So if it's a level 5, it's like a nationally famous item is the way I described it. These items are often the property of regional champions, people who are known, for example, as heroes of the mountains or legendary guardians of a particular forest. They're items that help them achieve status as top dogs within their region. Peasants may often see these heroes and their legendary items as gifted to the world by the gods. In some cases, there may even be truth in that. These items must be special ordered. The time and effort required to make them isn't worth it unless a return on investment is already guaranteed. That said, it is likely that multiple of these items exist in the world, just under different titles and levels of fame. Typically, these items will have a unique name tied to the region or the wielder in some way, even if the item isn't especially unique. So they're not in and of themselves unique items, but they are uncommon enough that the people who have them treat them like they're like unique, one-of-a-kind items. It's almost more like this particular enchantment, right? So in this situation, the Circle of Power, it might be put on multiple different types of items that have the same enchantment, but there's only like one glove that has it or what have you. So what about even higher level of magic items? You mean like if we get up to a level 9, which I've titled The Gods Themselves. An item of this magnitude is respected and feared by the gods themselves. Their powers defy the rules of reality and can shape existence itself. Most mortals cannot even wield an item so powerful, let alone use it to effect. Many would try out of hubris, but find themselves suffering unfathomable consequences as their very beings struggle to survive the power. Only the gods can truly make and harness the powers of these items. So yes, I have accounted for all of that. It's a tiered system. Whereas with a cantrip is like a worker's tool. These are common items accessible to most, though perhaps a little pricey. It's not uncommon for middle-class commoners to be able to afford an item of this nature if they budget and save for a few months. They are utilitarian and often make jobs easier and safer, such as protective items for hard-laboring jobs or items that sharpen the minds of accountants. So, yes, I have thought about all of them, all the different levels of magic. So for this one, sort of an example item, what I'm thinking is like a crown that a king, like a king of an area might wear. That sort of it's a crown that can have this this spell imbued on it, so that way they can sort of have some built-in protection in if they feel they need it at any given time. So we'll just call it the King's Protective Crown is what we'll call it. I mean, actually, we'll just call it King's Protective Crown. It's like that, like it's a singular thing. The king would have it, but I don't want to sit here and... As much as I love creating lore for things, in fact, that's kind of the baseline is what I have here. I don't want to invent an entire region and kingdom for the sake of just an example item. Because it's kind of just meant to be a sample. So we can say a crown that a king ordered special so that he may have protection against any sort of magical attacks used to great effect, especially especially if a local warlock is getting a little big for his britches. Boom, there we go. Perfect. Hey, Orange Pulp, good to see ya. How's it going? Some other systems in D&D. There's a lot of other systems in D&D. A lot of really awesome ones. I definitely encourage checking them out. Pathfinder is good if you like a bit more rules-heavy D&D. Call of Cthulhu. I've played Call of Cthulhu. In fact, Call of Cthulhu was the first tabletop I ever played. I have a great affection for it. But an important thing to recognize with Call of Cthulhu is it's kind of intended that your characters will die. It's a survival horror, and it's designed to be played that way. So make sure that whatever group you're playing that one with recognizes that players aren't meant to be sort of the unstoppable heroes that you see in things like Pathfinder and D&D. It's more so meant to be like, oh no, you're in way over your head. Get out, get out, get out, and hope you survive. Like, that's kind of more so the vibe of Call of Cthulhu. But if that's what you're into, it's an awesome game. It's tons of fun. It's tons of fun, and I've played that one with people before, and I had a very good time when I played it. So let's see here. All right, yeah. I like that sample item. I think it's good. I think it's got some interesting flavor, and it makes a lot of sense that someone would just have, like, if they're worried about assassination attempts or something like that, they would have some sort of garment or whatever that they could wear that would be able to sort of offer some sort of protection if they feel they need it. So, yeah, I think that's a good one. Yeah, kind of. Call of Cthulhu, I don't know if I would necessarily call them expendable. Like, you're trying to keep your character alive, but that's it. It's like you're trying to keep your character alive. You're not trying to save the world from impending doom. It's more so like you're explorers, and you found something dangerous, and you're in way over your heads, and now you have to try and get out of there and survive. And character you won't even play. Yeah, I mean, you just gotta keep the game in mind, and the idea of how it goes when you're making your character. But yeah, that's the vibe of Call of Cthulhu, so important to keep in mind. All right, so if someone is imbuing an item with Circle of Power here, and they end up making it sentient here, this is where it gets fun, doing the sentient and the curse. This is kind of my favorite way to do this, or favorite part of doing this stuff. I think it might be interesting to just playing human. I mean, that's kind of what Call of Cthulhu is. You're just playing normal old people that have jobs. And so that's like that's kind of the idea of Call of Cthulhu, and that's why I say, like, you're not super ultra powerful wizards or anything like that. You're just a dude that maybe has a gun, and like that's what you're going against, Cthulhu-esque creatures against. Possible trick with magic, Miles, something to start talking when a spell approaches, when an assassin gets too close. Consider Glyphs of Warding. Oh, that's interesting. It's an interesting idea. You'd have to work on figuring the balance for it, but I like the idea there, Half-Sass. That's an interesting idea. All right, so if someone is doing Circle of Power and it becomes sentient, so good is always, again, sort of the way I do it. For the alignment, it's not necessarily whether it's a good or evil item. It's more so how it approaches helping the user, right? So if it's good, it'll do some extra thing for the user. If it's evil, it'll do something extra against the enemies. If it's lawful, it'll narrow its focus to be a bit more powerful. And if it's chaotic, it'll be a little less powerful, but it'll broaden its focus in some way, shape, or form. Is kind of the way I like to do it. Hey, Pteranodon, good to see ya. Yep, exactly, Tsuki. You're just trying to survive. I mean, it depends on the campaign you're running, Tsuki. I mean, you'll have to start like reading into different campaigns that people have made to really know, because each one's going to be a little different about like whatever the dangers and the stakes of what you're playing. But the general vibe of Call of Cthulhu is, yeah, yes, there's a world-ending danger, but you're not a superhero. You're an average human, and if you're going to succeed in saving the world, you're gonna have to do it as just an average human. Is sort of the idea and the vibe of it. So it's a much more dangerous survival horror type of game. So let's see here. So if it's good, doing a little something extra for the player. See, this is where these more powerful ones are where it almost gets more difficult, because like just a higher level spell in general already does something extra either to the like enemies or for the user. So it starts getting a little tricky. I would cast Spare the Dying as reaction to the wearer going down. Half Sast, are you talking about the idea of the magic mouth thing going on there? I think depending on like what it does or what it can or can't do is gonna, like when you start getting experimental with stuff like that, it's gonna depend on each individual group, you know, and how the DM wants to run it and what the group deems as being too powerful. I always tend to err on like let people do what they want to do, but you know, the sentience. So like the sentience isn't that it can like do its own magical things. It's more so that it just has a personality. So like I wouldn't say it can cast an additional strange spell. It's more so that it like works within the confines of the spell. It just also thinks and talks at you as it does it. So if it's good, if it can do something a little extra, friendly character has advantage on saving throws against spells. Additionally, when an affected creature is on saving throw on a magical effect, saving throw to take only half damage, takes no damage instead. So it's basically you have advantage, and if you succeed, you take no damage, is basically what this does. So doing something extra, I'm almost wondering if we could just say like you automatically save on the first one. Like it gives you a real strong burst of magical energy, and it'll give like the user an automatic save on the first saving throw, rather than just giving you advantage. Like it can do that for one, so it gives you that extra little burst. It's kind of what I'm thinking is like the only clear option, because again, this one's kind of just gives you like all the benefits that you can sort of imagine having from this spell in the first place. So it's sorry, hold on, there we go. Okay. So yeah, I think when first cast, the first save that the user makes while the spell is in effect is an automatic save. After that first save, the spell reverts to standard. Boom. So it's like, well, it was good. Well, and like I always try to give like a little personality trait behind it. So it's like is very determined to save its owner. Boom, there we go. And so then evil, I feel like the evil, so again, like the evil is kind of, it'll just do something extra against the enemy. So my first thought is we'll say we'll try to turn magic against the enemy. Then the enemy, there it is. So it'll try to turn magic against the enemy on the first, let's see here, we'll say the first time a friendly succeeds. Where are we? I'm just trying to make sure I word this clearly. First time a friendly succeeds on a saving throw while under the influence of the spell, the spell is reversed back on the original caster. You can do something like that. Advantage on the next saving throw of any type. Death saving throw. I could see that. The first failed save. So it's like you have that effect of having like your like you have that bonus of getting advantage, but if you still fail, then on the next one. So I could see that. I guess the only thing about it is that because it lasts for 10 minutes, that really only does something. I mean, I guess that kind of gives you your death save, but it's a saving throw against spells. So I see. So it could still impact because it goes beyond spell saves. But it depends upon the person. Like basically, the only time it would really have an effect is if that fail resulted in the person going unconscious and having to make death saves. So I worry that it would be a little too close to not having a bonus, which just kind of defeats the fun of having a sentient item, because the odds of it being sentient are very slim to none. It's like basically what it is roll a D100. If you get like a 95 or above, or even less, usually I'll actually just do it, like, unless players are really investing extra stuff, because this is part of a crafting system that I've created, and so players will craft their own magical items using these runes. And so, like, depending on how many resources and how much resources and time they pump into it, may increase or decrease the likelihood. But basically, sentience is like, if they get a 100, then it becomes sentient. If they get a 1, it'll be cursed. So it's like, because it's so rare, I like it to be sort of a tangible thing. Like, it's a really special thing for it to happen. So there's like that extra bonus is how I like to do it. And so while I like that idea, I think because this spell is already so powerful, I worry that that won't do enough. Like, that's almost a better bonus for a lower level spell, right? Because that might come up more often, and it might be a more relevant situation. So I like the idea, but I think on this spell it doesn't quite have the oomph I'm looking for it. But I do like it. I do like where your head's at. I do like the concept behind it. So if it's lawful, like I say it, like the way I sort of perceive lawful is it is very focused, so it can be a bit more powerful, but like in a more specific range. And so what my thought is for this one actually is, well, I guess I was gonna say it only affects the user, but it automatically succeeds. Like, you get an automatic save against any spell, but that might actually be a little overpowered. If you're just flat out immune to magic for 10 minutes, like, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. I mean, that's going to be any battle. Because if any single round lasts 6 seconds, right, that means 1 minute is 10 rounds. So that's 100 rounds. That's 100 rounds of being immune to magic. And I think that's a little OP. So, friendly creature in the area. Because, like, the chaotic is an obvious one. You just make the radius a bit larger and maybe take away the fact that it'll do the no damage instead of half damage. Nat 20s or crit fail, something happens for chaotic. If you crit fail the saving throw, you rage. Yeah, you could do something like that. I don't know. I try to not do the only problem with that, like, I like the idea of on a crit something extra happens. I don't know that I would say it induces rage, just because then we have to pull out the rule book and see how that impacts like a warlock or something, and that's a little much. Wouldn't mind the idea. I'm wondering if we can zero in on the when an affected creature succeeds on a saving throw made against a spell or magical effect that allows it to make a saving throw, take only half damage, that takes no damage, succeeds on the saving throws. Give resistance in the inability to cast. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, so it's like you could do that, but then it's like, I guess for chaos that would be kind of funny. That would be kind of amusing. Let's see here. There's gotta be something. I think, like I say, I think chaos, the chaotic version is easier to think about for this one than the lawful. Gives haste for 2 rounds. There you go. There you go. Just it really basically what it does is chaotic is it's like it just gives you an adrenaline boost. Now I think for chaos it's what I'm gonna do is because like I say it's the idea behind chaotic is that it's a little less effective, but it has a wider range of effect, right? So it's like for this one what I'm thinking is the radius of influence becomes 50 feet, but it does not reduce half damage to no damage, right? I think that one's a pretty easy one. So it's like you're still always going to take your half damage, but it's got a wider range, so you can help out more of your teammates, right? Or they can have a wider range to work in within it. So I think that one's an easy one to figure out. But let's see here. Actually, insanely powerful guys. Well, I feel like the way you're describing it, Tsuki's almost the antithesis to Cthulhu himself. So it would just basically be a god war. I don't think it'd be Call of Cthulhu at all. I think it would just be like, you know, Greek mythology at that point in time. Let's see. Net 20 says, oh yeah. I'm wondering if we can do something for. I'm wondering if what we can do is we can just say okay, here's an idea. Tell me what you think. Spell only affects the user of the item, but anytime damage is reduced by a save, the reduced damage is done to the caster. So it's only on the one person, right? But if the save results in reduced damage, whatever the damage reduction is, that's reflected back on the spellcaster. I think that'll work. Hold on, let me think. Let me logic through it again. Using until the spell ends, the sphere moves with the items and the duration. Each friendly creature in the area. So it would only be that person has advantage on saving throws. So basically, it automatically reflects all damage, but it only impacts the user. Which I think that's okay, because the alternative is that it doesn't do damage on the caster, but more people are immune. So in this situation, it's like a smart enemy might sort of like receive that damage in the first place, or receive damage from an area effect that they cast, but they'd be smart enough to recognize like, oh shoot, they've done something, I can't do this, and then they'll pick a different target, and there's more targets. So it kind of ends up being a situation where it'll have that impact probably once, and then afterwards it's just a deterrent so that the user of the item doesn't take on attacks in the first place. So it only happen on failed saves. Well, it's like again, it's not like for this one, for the lawful, it's just that it narrows its focus down and is a bit more powerful. It's a bit more potent. Is sort of the idea behind the lawful side of it. So I think that works. I don't think that's too out of balance. Explain how. Yeah, it sounds like Sugi. It sounds like your character would struggle to have a place in a Call of Cthulhu game. That's for sure. Yeah. I think that's good. All right. Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna go with it. I think that's good, especially because when you think about the odds of it, even if things are a little imbalanced, the odds of that specific one are so small, because not only do you have to roll the D100 to result in it being sentient, then you have to roll, you roll the D10, just re-roll on 10s, and then so 1 through 9 associate with like the alignment chart to determine which of these traits it'll have. So it's like a 1/3 chance So it's like a 1 in 100 chance it's sentient, and then after that it's a 1 in 3 chance it's even the lawful or the chaotic or whatever. So I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I don't know. And if it's not, then we just modify it on the fly. That's just what you do. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. All right. So yeah, so now we get to do if the player accidentally goofs up while creating it and they create a cursed item, which is super fun. Super fun. I love the concept of a cursed item. Because the way I do cursed items too, it's not just that like, oh, it's bound to you, you can't get rid of it. It's like it'll do something extra powerful, but it will also have a cost associated with it. And the idea is to encourage the player to take the risk of whatever the negative is, and keep using it, right? And the idea is to try and strike a balance so that it's something that someone might be able to be willing to roll the dice on. But then if the problematic side effect happens, then they're like, oh shoot, now I'm in trouble. Doesn't like being summoned. Yeah, that'd be it would kind of make your Tsuki, it would make your character an interesting one to summon exactly for those reasons. Just be an interesting role-playing adventure. Cursed is considering the rebound from haste. That's possible. That's possible. I don't know. The only one of the reasons I'm kind of balking at like having things like haste and stuff and having those extra things added to it is because I like to keep the impacts thematic to the specific spell we're working with here. And since this spell doesn't really have anything to do with haste, I kind of want to keep it thematic. Just because if we start delving into not thematic stuff, then it's very easy to fall into a very samey approach to all of them. And like the whole point of doing all the different things is to have all kinds of different wild effects. So I don't dislike the idea, but I want to save that for spells that have more to do with haste-like effects, is kind of what it is. So like with this one, so with the extra powerful benefit, my thought is, on a success, it will always, for everyone in the area of effect, it will always reduce, well, no, I guess it kind of already does that. Only take half damage, you take no damage. Like my thought is like, how do I want to, because like what my thought is basically like to try and create a situation in which like it will always have a positive effect, but if you get knocked unconscious while the thing is in effect, it will also stop like positive magical effects from healing you. So suddenly you're in big trouble because you're making death saving throws without anyone being able to like magically stabilize you, including using potions and stuff. Is what my idea is. Got necrotic energy. Cause disadvantage on spell saves enemies within radius instead of affecting allies. Okay. Yeah, you could do something like that. It's not a bad idea. I like that one. Just trying to conceptualize, because the hard part about this one, well, it's not really a hard part. It's the thing my brain struggles with this one is like these two parts. Like it gives you advantage on save, and if you succeed, no damage no matter what. And so, because like I like that idea. This is the caster to get into the thick of it. Yeah, that's true. Like it has the most effect when you're in danger still. Yeah, I like that. All right. I'm gonna steal that idea from you. I like that. So we'll say enemies within the area of effect have disadvantage on save throws against have save throws against magic. Absass, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're having a good time. So yeah, enemies within the area of effect have disadvantage on save throws against magic. And I think if we just do that, that's fine. But then I do like the problematic side effect. I think I'm gonna stick with. I'll get to it. I'll get to it, Suki. I'm trying to. My brain's on something, and I don't want to lose it. So I'm going to finish my thoughts here. Yeah. So it's like, if we'll say the barrier cannot be removed early, and it also prevents healing magic from taking effect. Anyone knocked unconscious while in the area of effect cannot be stabilized magically while the spell is in effect. So it's like they can still swap. It's not a death sentence, right? But for 10 minutes, they either need to get the person away from the object, which then what it takes to remove is going to impact that. So it's like basically you have to use medicine to stabilize the person, or else they're doomed. And that includes prevents healing magic from taking effect. We'll say including potions, since potions work off of magic as well. So anyone knocked unconscious while in the area of effect cannot be stabilized magically while the spell is in effect. Yeah. Okay, I think that works. And so it's like, seems like a low risk, because if they're smart, they can get out of the way. They can get out of the way of stuff. And then, but then if they do get knocked unconscious, they better get good saving throws, or they better have someone who's good at medicine nearby. Hey, True Blue, how's it going? Okay, I think that's good. I like it. Okay, Itsuki, what do you have? That sounds like it would really bother the cultists. That's for sure. All right, let's see here. So what it takes to remove. Must be removed magically. If the owner tries to remove or abandon the item, it will treat the owner. It will self-cast and treat the owner as an enemy, and will remain cast until the owner abandons thoughts of trying to get rid of it. So it's like, what I like about this idea, actually, I might even change this. Actually, you know what I'm just gonna do? End the item. It will see the owner as an enemy. Until the owner makes amends with the item, and we'll just let players be creative about that. Until the owner makes amends with the item, it will always treat the owner as an enemy combatant when cast. So it's just really petty is the idea that I've got going on here. It's just really, really petty. Which I think would be really fun. I kind of like that one, where and because the thing that I like about that one too is the item could be super petty and just not say anything, and it could just be like, oh, is that how it is? All right, well, good to know you want to get rid of me. And then like the owner will have no idea that that's what's about to happen until the next time they're in battle. So then they'll cast it, and then suddenly they'll have disadvantage, and the item will be like, oh, I thought we weren't friends anymore. You wanted to get rid of me. I guess if we're not friends, then I can't treat you like a friendly. And it just like gets really petty and gives the person disadvantage on all their stuff. Which then could be really deadly too, because then they can't be healed if they get knocked unconscious while having disadvantage. So I think I like it. I think it's good. I think it'll be good. I actually really like that now that I think about it. Something about a petty magical item just really amuses me. I think that's great. I think that's great. So yeah, as you can see, True Blue, we're working on we're doing what I've been doing, the warm ups of doing some more of our magical rune items, and then after that we'll probably do at least one more, maybe one or two more magical items, and then after that we'll switch over and work on our campaign project a little bit. So that's the plan for the day. I just can't stay away from this project. It's so much fun. It's so much fun to just get wild and wacky with all these potential enchanted items. I love it. I love it. And like I say, it's because I love the concept of my players having these items, because I love chaos. The more insane everything is during a battle or during a session, the happier I am. I love it. If there's like people that are possessed and attacking their friends, and like 5 different area effect things going on, so that it's a veritable chessboard minefield of horrible ground to walk on, and there's this person over here is casting and lighting everything on fire, and these 2 guys are just swinging for the fences with their axes, and there's just all kinds of crazy stuff. The more insanity, the better. I love it. I think that's just absolutely fantastic. All right, so yeah, let's do another. Let's do another here. It's circle power. Dispel evil and good. Oh man, this is... without even like reading the stuff and knowing exactly how it's going to work as an enchantment, this is already going to be amazing, the way it's going to intermingle with all of the different sentient personalities. This is great. I'm already going to love this. All right, let's copy that. Dispel evil and good. Although I don't know why for me. Okay, tell me if I'm insane. Does the flow of the way they've written that sound weird as dispel evil and good? Like, my first thought is it should just be ordered dispel good and evil, right? Doesn't that flow better? Am I insane, or does that not flow better? Dispel good and evil versus dispel evil and good. I don't know. Maybe I'm insane. And so you agree? Okay, good. So if I'm insane, at least I'm going down with friends at my side on this one. It flows weird. It flows weird. We always say good and evil. We always say good and evil. We don't say evil and good. That's just not how the language flows. It's not grammatically wrong. It just sounds weird. I'm making the executive decision. Dispel good and evil. I don't care what it is, canonically. I am saying it's dispel good and evil, all right? Because it's my homebrew system, and I can do what I want. And I want it to just verbally flow. Stupid ignoring phonetics. All right, anyway. Rant aside, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Let's see here. All right, yeah, shimmering energy surrounds and protects you. So, okay, hold on. Let me see something here. Range, it's only on self. Okay, so it'll be the holder / wearer of the item. Right, so shimmering energy surrounds and protects the holder of the item from fey, undead, and creatures originating from beyond the material plane. For the duration, celestials, elementals, fey, fiends, and undead have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. Okay, that's... Jeez, oh Pete, we really are getting into the powerful spells here. You can end the spell early by using either of the following special functions. Break enchantment. As your action, you touch a creature you can reach that is charmed, frightened, or possessed by a celestial, an elemental, fey, fiend, or an undead. The creature you touch is no longer charmed, frightened, or possessed by such creatures. Okay, so we're going to say you touch a creature. I'm just going to specify with the item, because the item only impacts the person holding it. So it's like if you then like touch the person, which makes me think like, because you can, in theory, especially if it's going to be on self, you can really enchant it on anything. And my immediate thought is if someone like makes a breastplate of it, and so it's like the only way to dispel is you have to give the person a hug. If you give the person a nice hug, then they're not there. So it's like a real Hallmark movie, Christmas Miracle style, where it's like a hug makes their heart grow and they're no longer charmed, frightened, or possessed. Sometimes in the middle of battle, you don't need a war cry. You need a war hug. I'm totally gonna make that the example item because that just sounds hilarious. All right, dismissal. As your action, make a melee spell attack against a celestial, an elemental, or a fae. You like the war hug? I like the war hug. It really fits with the make love not war moniker, doesn't it? It's like, what if battles, like, here we go. Here's my flowery hippie thought of the day, right? My shower thought of the day. What if we fought wars by hugging contests, and whoever had the tightest squeeze of a hug wins? Aggressive chest bump. Oh, I like that one too. It's like you grab the person, you're like just like imagine someone being like frightened, right? And they're like sitting there like panicked, and you just like grab them and you turn their shoulders and you turn them and you like give them a slap and you're like, get it together, man. And they're like, what? And you're like, chest bump, boom. And then they're like, ah, yes. And then they return to the fight like all bolstered and ready to kill again. I like that one. The other one that would be fun is if you have it on a glove. So you give them a reassuring ass pat, right? Like if you're like playing, if you're playing football, you know, and like, you know, you're just trying to encourage your teammates, right? Just the encouraging, the encouraging ass pat of no longer possessed. I like that. I like the idea of it being possessed too when you do that, because like I can just see the person who's possessed in their brain. They're like all possessed. Then all of a sudden they feel the ass pat, and they're like, I know that cheek cupping. That's my friend. I can't hurt him. He's my friend. And then like suddenly that's what does it, like the ass pat, because you're just like, wait, I would know those fingers delicately caressing my cheek any day. That's my friend. The loving thwack. Yeah, you have to put it on the pommel of your sword, right? So it's like, oi, don't, bong, and like you hear like the coconut like bong every time you do it. It has to have that sound effect too. Quarterstaff, I like that one. Really, it's just using the break enchantment is a fun one. I like that. Man, now I can't decide if the example item is going to be the breastplate or the glove. I do like the glove of ass pat. That's totally what we're gonna call it too. The glove of ass pat was originally owned by Patrick the Champion, so it's got like a nice fun double entendre with the naming there. I like it. Anyway, dismissal. As your action, make a melee spell attack against celestial, elemental, fey, or fiend, or an undead you can reach. With the I hate him. You gotta add the extra S in there. Patton Aswald. It almost sounds like we're being mean. I love Patton Oswald. Damn it, now I'm saying it. Patton Oswald. I love the man. But I do like the idea of adding that extra S. It's Patton Oswald's patented. It's his patented, get it? Glove of ass patting reassurance. Oh my god, there's so many layers. There's so many layers to it. I love it. Holy shit. Oh my god, it's so good. See, this is why it's so much more fun to write with friends and other people around, because you guys have so many great ideas that I can't think of, and it just adds to the amusement so much. Anyway, you can reach with the item. On a hit, you attempt to drive the creature back to its home plane. The creature must succeed on a charisma saving throw or be sent back to its home plane if it isn't there already. If they aren't on their home plane, undead are sent to the Shadowfell, and Fae are sent to the Feywild. Makes sense. Alright. Actually, yeah, I think that one's good. The one thing we'll have to, on the attack / save, it'll be a DC, we'll set it to DC 15. Because for the enchanted items, I always make sure the DC is 10 plus the spell level. Just seems like a decent way to kind of balance it, so that the more powerful the item is, the harder it is for someone to save. So that way you can still theoretically use it if you're not a magic user. You make it so you can grapple, hug to dismiss as well. I like that. Yeah, like that's what you have to do for a possession, because a possessed person isn't gonna willfully let you hug. They're gonna be like, bad touch, bad touch. So you have to have a good, grapple to like do the forceful hug when you have someone who's distraught and trying to refuse all affection. Oh my god, so good. I love it. All right, yeah, example item. I'm just gonna do it now. No, although I'm gonna go with Sir we can do the Game of Thrones style. Sir. No, Sir Patrick's glove of ass pats. Patrick, though very friendly, was a total bro and always encouraged his fellow warriors with an ass pat of luck, an ass pat for good luck, before entering the battlefield. One day, while deciding what to do with all of his money, he decided to make his ass pats that much more powerful and had this glove created. People, though thinking it was a little weird, grew happy to feel his reassuring pats on their asses, as it meant they were saved from some very bad things. Simple as that. Sir Patrick's glove of ass pats. I love it. Oh my god, I want this. I'm gonna force my players to have this item. I'm just gonna present it. I'm gonna drop it in the item just for them. We had a D4 of inspiring on bonus action hugs or ass pats. The cat good. I like that. We'll examine it in a second. I need to run to the bathroom. I'm gonna do that real quick, and then my focus will be better. Cause you know how it is. If you have to pee, there's only so much focus you can offer, and it's like, of course, I was gonna be able to be focused on the basic idea of a glove of ass padding, but now that we're done with that, like, we've reached the point where my focus on my bladder is superseding my focus on what we're writing. So I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick. I'll be back in just a few seconds, and when I get back, we will make this a living, breathing glove of patting the asses. So thank you for your patience. I'll be right back. My situation has improved. I appreciate your patience. My bladder appreciates your patience. Ah, boy. Okay. Let's see here. Beautiful. All right. I really do love this concept of a glove of ass pats. Yeah, dude, Patrick, I really appreciate you making me not charmed anymore, but you got a little deep on the cup with that one, man. Just like, remember it's a pat, not a grab. Anyway, how it's cast. Well, item is worn or held, and actually, wait, hold on, I gotta phrase this differently. Cast once per day while item is worn or held, and the command word is spoken. Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, Pat, you have successfully made it so I'm not frightened of the undead, but I'm a little frightened of you now. Okay? We never established permission for that. Alright, I forgot to do this. Can be put on any item, but is best put on an item that can easily be held or worn. Boom, there we go. Alright, range, self / direct contact, duration. What's the duration of this? I'm pretty sure they've got one. Casting time, 1 action, duration 1 minute. Lasts for 1 minute. Bada bing, bada boom. And then attack / save, we're going to say DC 15 for spell attack / save. There we go. Hey, John, how's it going? What's up, hey? Anyone else remember those commercials? Right? Wasn't it like a Bud Light commercial or something? What's up? Like they did that. Wasn't that's where that originally came from, right? That was so long ago, though. Golly, that had to have been 90s, maybe. It's gotta be, yeah. Jamie, John, pull that up. I'm slow. My transformation into Joe Rogan has begun. Someone pull that up. God, so help me. So help me if I ever turn into Joe Rogan. That'll be a dark timeline right there. Not to rag on anyone if you like Joe Rogan. He's got plenty of he's got plenty of interesting takes. He just also has plenty of not so good takes. Budweiser. Okay, that's what it was. It was Budweiser. What's that? That was a good one. Then memed in Scary Movie. Yeah. Well, I mean, what wasn't back in those days? Back in the Scary Movie days, what wasn't memed? Like they were the original memers. Maybe not the original, but they were back in the early days of it all. That's for sure. I love the Scary Movies. Well, I love Scary Movies 1 through 3. 4 was okay, and 5 was just like meh. 5 when 5 came around, they stopped caring about actually making it good and only tried to dunk on Scary Movies. Like they stopped trying to also make a good movie in the process, right? Like 1 and 2 were just like stupid gag comedy. 3 was just like, it was stupid gag comedy, but they also kind of tried to like have some kind of cohesive thing going on. And then 4, like they kind of had a cohesive thing, but it was mostly just about the goof scenes that were loose fits. And then 5 was just an all over the place mess. Where they had like the same actors and actresses, but they were different characters and stuff. It got weird with 5. I don't know. Clearly my knowledge of the lore of Scary Movie is a little deeper than what a normal person's would be. I maybe have spent too much time analyzing those movies. Happens. I don't know what phones were back then, right? Oh my gosh, when you think about how big phones used to be. And like the funny thing is like the phones used to be huge, and then for a while the trend was trying to make them as small and thin as possible, right? Like with the Razr. And now we're getting back to making them big again, right? Because we want the biggest screen possible. We've gone back towards the phablet, concept. We've come full loop. We boomeranged our way back. All right, let's hear. Okay, if it's sentient. If it's sentient. Sending stones, but there's just bricks. All right. Just bricks that you throw through a window. All right. If it's sentient, if it's a good, so doing something extra for the person using it. Let's see. It protects the holder for the duration. Celestials and undead have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. You can end spell early. I think what I want to do for good is trying to think here. I guess actually it would more so fall for evil. What I'm thinking for evil also has the effect of inducing fear on affected enemies so that they cannot willfully move closer to the wearer, right? So it's like it just like gives off like this aura of, oh, we don't want none of that to the enemies. But I consider that kind of like it does something negative to the enemies. So if it's good, like a good thing that it could do. Tackles against you. I'm wondering if we could like steal from this and have something where like the good thing is also just do something along the lines of like wait, hold on. How is it written again? For the durations, let's means undead disadvantage on attack rolls against you. So it's not save rolls. So here's what my thought is for good. We could either say the user has advantage on saves, or they take half damage from successful attacks because it makes like the enemy's attacks falter. I think I like that second one. So we can say something like item gives an aura that makes target enemies falter. If the affected enemies succeed on an attack. Oops, on an attack. Gosh dang it. My fingers are not working right now. The affected enemies succeed on an attack. Only, we'll say the user of the item only takes half damage. Boom. So that's the little something extra there. I don't know if it just makes terrible puns and deals psychic damage. That's, you know, I feel like that would be if you gave an item vicious mockery. I feel like that's what the chaotic version of it would be. Is it like it only speaks in puns? That might be qualified as evil though. I think that one is potentially evil depending on who it's saying them to. Let's see here. I feel like chaotic it would be celestial element feels advantage on attack rolls against you. I feel like what we can say is like, so for lawful, trying to narrow the effect. I feel like for the lawful and the chaotic, we can almost focus more on the effects of like the different spell ending maneuvers that you can do with the item. You know what I mean? So it's like you can say, like for lawful, it's like you can only creature with the item charmed, frightened, or possessed by celestial and day. Creature you touch is no longer charmed, frightened, or possessed by such creatures. So you could I almost feel like you could do like for the break enchantment, like for that one, for lawful, it's like just trying to figure out how you would narrow the focus. Although really, because it's such a narrow focus, we could just go ahead and let that one slide for this one. recognizing that this thing is already so specified in who it targets. Because what my thought is for this one is not only are you no longer charmed, frightened, or possessed, but you're immune from those for the duration of the spell. So it's not like, so you can't be re-charmed or re-frightened or repossessed, which I think is kind of implied, but since it doesn't actually say that, it says it just cures them of it. I think it would be a good thing to add as a specificity there, because my interpretation of it is because it doesn't specify that you can't be re-frightened or re-charmed or whatever, that by curing them of it, you cure them of it, but then they're still on their own, right? Because you're just kind of dispelling the spell, so it's just an instantaneous thing. It doesn't have an ongoing thing. And so we'll say, so I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll say when a targeted creature is cured of charm, fear, or possession, they are immune to the status effect. And since it ends it, we can't say, it occurs to me, I can't say until the end of the spell because that's how you're dispelling it. Are immune to, I want to just say that status effect for, we'll say 1 hour. Why not? It's kind of arbitrary because it's really just as long as you do it till the end of the battle, they're probably going to be okay. The rest of the combat, you could say that. The only thing I don't like about that is just sort of the inconsistency of it, because that could mean 1 round or that could mean 10 rounds, right? And so I feel like, because like the thing for me with magic is I like the magic to kind of have some like internal logic, or like some sort of like self-established logic to it. And so like magical energy, when you think about it, if it were a real thing, magical energy wouldn't be somehow like, well, I guess it could be magically bound, but like to me, like as a physical trait, like as a magic physics type of thing, it wouldn't arbitrarily be to like a combat starting or stopping. It would be more about like that magical energy is now inside the person until it dissipates, right? Is sort of the idea that I have. Kind of like if you have to get an x-ray and they make you drink that barium stuff, right? It's like that stuff is kind of in you until it dissipates through your kidneys and your liver filtering systems, right? It's that kind of idea. More rigid. Yeah, it's, I don't know if rigid, it's just more, I guess rigid kind of works. Like it's kind of synonymous to say structured. Rule bound, rigid. Yeah, I guess that is a fair way to do it. Synonyms are weird. But yeah, so it's like, yeah, I think just they're good for 1 hour. The alternative is you could say until they take a short rest or whatever, but even then that's kind of like goes on. Like that works a bit better, because then like the assumption when you're taking a short rest or a long rest even is that like you're going to sleep, which kind of resets a lot of your body systems and it resets a lot of things. So you could do it that way, but I like doing 1 hour. Because the one thing I like about that too is supposing they're in like a dungeon, right? And they're going through, it doesn't suddenly make them magically immune for the rest of the dungeon, right? Depending on how long they go through and how long it takes for them to get through different rooms and stuff, you can sort of imagine at a point at which it would wear off and they would be able to be then affected by that same effect later on, within the same dungeon. So I think that works. And then chaotic. So my thought with the chaotic is that, my thought is that it creates an aura, so it has an area of effect, but you can't do the early dismissal. It's sort of, because like I say with chaotic, it's more so like it just like changes it so that it's a broader effect, but it's a little less potent. And so my thought is the spell has an area effect. Told you my fingers aren't working today. We'll say 15-foot radius, but it cannot be dispelled early using break, enchantment, or dismissal. Sort of what my thought is. Teleports them randomly on this plane. That's true, Cat. That almost sounds to me like it would be a curse thing where it's just like really out there. That would be kind of funny though. Like it just randomly does it. I like the idea too of like doing it like you roll a D100, right? And it's like on a 1, it teleports it 5 feet to the left. But then on a 100, it teleports them to the complete other side of a planet, you know? And so they're just like suddenly like in an ocean or something. That would actually be really funny. Like, I banish thee! And then you like cast it, and then they just like, you know, like, just like pop like three feet over, and they just like, you have that cartoon moment where you guys look at each other kind of confused and blink, and it's just like awkward for a few seconds until the monster like screeches at you and tries to kill you again. No, I like this way. Like I say, with chaotic, it's more about I try to avoid having chaotic always mean also random. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because that can certainly be humorous and fun in the right context, but with the chaotic, I try to make it just more so that the item is like really excitable and it tries really hard, but it's just not very focused, right? So it's kind of like with this one, it's like it can't focus well enough to like cure you of being charmed or frightened, but it's like really excited to help everyone out. So it kind of has an area of effect, but it's less powerful. You know, it's kind of how I go with it. Because the other thing that helps with that is it makes it a bit easier. Like if I avoid, like I say, if I avoid the chaotic random, right, or the chaotic psycho, if I avoid that, it makes it easier for these to translate to all types of games, right? Because when you're adding a personality, it's very easy to just like have the personality of it be that of an out of control excitable gerbil, right? It's like it's easy enough to inject that in there, but if I within the rules kind of pigeonhole something to being the lol random type of stuff, then if I'm using this item in a game where the players want a more serious dramatic tone, it's a bit harder to modify that, you know what I mean? So it's like if we just kind of have this, like, because this as a baseline, it can't do those things, but it you know, it can't do the dismissals, but it has a wider range. That can still be played by a relatively serious sentient item is sort of the other thing that I go for. Because I've been in campaigns that are both ways, right? Like I'm in a campaign, you know, right now, one of the, like, well, I'm a player in one campaign and I'm a DM in another one, you know, and it's like in one of them, things tend to trend a bit more towards the chaotic stupid, right? So things get real wacky and slapstick, right? Whereas the other one tends to be played a bit more seriously, you know, and so just like it covers that wider range if we stick to just doing some like basic rule structures rather than really pigeonholing the personality within the rules. So, but the other thing about it too is like grain of salt. That's how I do it. And it certainly would not be wrong to do it differently than the way I do it. That's like, you know, I always feel it's necessary to say that with everything I do, because I don't want people to think that my way is the only way or that I'm asserting my way is the only way. My way is just a way that has proven to be generally liked and effective with players over the past like 5 or 10 years that I've been a DM. So it's like, you know, if you're looking at this, you're like, God, your chaotic isn't chaotic at all for my tastes, then fuck yeah, make it as different and wild and wacky as you want. Like, go for the full-blown, you know, Super Smash Bros, Super Hammer, you know, coconut noises, wackiness going on. Like, fucking do it. If that's the game that you're doing, then hell yeah, do it. That's just, you know, that ain't my style. And I ain't gonna try and make it my style because I won't do it right and it'll just feel awkward when I try to do it. So, at any rate, I don't know. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Not that anyone needed that specific disclaimer there, but you know, it's good to have these discussions, right? Because that's how we all get different ideas and understand each other's when we discuss things. So with that in mind, we are now going to transition, and I'm going to discuss some very specific and controversial political opinions. No, that's not true. I am not going to do that. I avoid controversial political opinions as much as possible. But especially to make things fit your games and your plays. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, that's kind of why I try to actually, when I'm writing things like this, because I'm not writing for a I'm not writing for a specific campaign at this moment. I'm writing as a general world building exercise, right? All of these things, even the campaign that I'm writing right now, that we'll get to in a few minutes here. It's not one that I'm running right now. It's just part of my world building and my enjoyment of world building and campaign building. So it's like I'm trying to keep things as, I don't want to use the word generic, but that's kind of what it is, just in terms of tone. Trying to keep them as like tone generic as possible. So that way, regardless of what type of group that I'm running, I can pull out these items, and if they're a serious group, I can pull it out and inject a serious personality to it, you know. Or if they're a goofy, silly group, then I can inject, you know, some flowers and unicorns into it, right? It's like I can you know, mold the generalized lump of clay that I provided for myself, and it's just I find it makes it a lot easier for me when I'm returning to these things. Yeah, exactly. Something with flex. That's a really good way to put it. I like that. Something that's got a little flex to it. Absolutely. So, all right. Now we get to make this a cursed item. And let's see here. So, my thought is the extra powerful benefit is that you are immune to attacks, right? They have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. Like, just make it so you're flat out immune to it. All right. But my thought is, because the duration is 1 minute, so that's 10 rounds. I don't know, 10 rounds is kind of a long, because my first thought is you're immune, but rather than repelling those creatures, it attracts them to you. So like you take on the aggro of those things. So you've got 1 minute of being immune to them and them all focusing on you, giving your teammates a little bit of freedom. But as soon as that minute runs up, if there's any of them still alive, you're going to be getting hit hard. It's sort of what my thought is. But my worry is that could turn into being really overpowered, because if no one else is taking injury and your teammates are all free to just kind of wail on whatever they want without taking damage, then it would really help guarantee that no fights would go on past a minute, you know? You also leave a mark on the creatures making attacks. Have advantage. Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's like, yeah, so it kind of like has the effect of like a hunter's mark or something like that. So it's like, it not only gives them disadvantage towards you, but then like you also have advantage towards them. Yeah, that could work. I like that. So it's like it gives you advantage, and then we could actually do the aggro, because then you're not immune to it. They still have disadvantage, but you take the aggro. And so if you're prepared for that and you're using that, and if you're, I think only allies have advantage. Yeah, you could do that. So it's like, let me think about that. So it's like, mark the enemies, allies have an advantage on attack, but then and enemies have disadvantage. The only struggle that I have with the allies is I'm just trying to think about like how you demarcate that. Like, what about the spell or the enchantment gives them advantage, right? Gives your allies, because the standard is that it only impacts you. So it's like the standard of the spell is that it only impacts you. So I'm almost thinking it would be better to say you have advantage on attacks, but you draw the aggro, so that they're all drawn to you and they will try to attack you. So it's like, if you're a melee user, then great. You know, like you'll want that. Or if you're a magic user, you can still do that, but maybe do like the Shaun of the Dead, where you just like run making noise and draw their attention away from where everyone else is, right? Because they have disadvantage, you might be willing to take on that aggro, you know, and like do a little bit of running around, just running in circles to avoid them getting too close to you and distracting them. I feel like I like it that way, because it could work really well, but if you end up getting overwhelmed with like 7 zombies surrounding you, you could get in trouble real quick. You have other things that deal aggro? Yeah, I have a few other things that will try and do that. Depends on the situation. I think I like it. I think I like that idea. The extra powerful benefit is the user has advantage on attacks against the affected creatures, with the problematic side effect, item draws the attention of the wait, hold on, it should be affected, right? Affected, yeah. Wait, yeah. Draws the attention of the affected creatures for the duration, making them only want to attack the user. Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll work. I think that'll work. Effect causes. Okay, yeah. I'm usually pretty good about knowing the difference between effect and affect. But yeah, sometimes it gets confusing. When you start adding tenses into it, it's like, ugh. Gosh, I'm not actually an English major. I'm just a dude who has writing as a hobby. And the worst part is, I never learned to read. That'd be a weird situation, knowing how to write but not knowing how to read. Is that possible? I mean, I guess in a way that's kind of what dyslexia is, isn't it? Kind of. I don't know. I don't have it, and so I'm just talking out my ass. Don't believe anything I say. Don't actually listen to me. I'm just making shit up. Yeah, I think that works. I think that works. And then what it takes to remove must be removed magically. If player tries to remove the item, it begins self-casting at random intervals, possibly resulting in random attacks by what was it all from Fey, undead, and creatures originating from beyond the material plane. So it's just like, if you try to get it, it's just going to be like, oh no, we don't. And it'll just start randomly calling creatures that would be interested in consuming your guts or whatever to you, and suddenly you have to just like randomly deal with that crap as you're traveling the world and trying to adventure. And like the baseline for these is always, because I always assume a cursed item has a certain sentience about it as well, is kind of how I like to think about it. And so it's like, you can, make amends with a cursed item. And so it's like, it'll do that until you apologize. Can't be ended early. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. That's a really good point. Because in theory, they could cast that, draw their attention, and then just like immediately dismiss it, so that others, so that it draws the aggro. Yeah, I think you're right. I think not only thematically, but I think mechanically it makes sense to do that. Because if you could just draw the aggro and then end it, then you could basically just get everyone a free round of not being attacked. Which, I mean, I suppose if you're going to only use it for one round, then you know, you only get it for 1 round. But yeah, I think you're right. It kind of goes against the spirit of what we're trying to create here. So item also cannot be dismissed early. Yeah, that's a good catch. I appreciate that. I like that. I like that specification there. I think that works really well. So yeah. And then yes, I still like this. I still like this. How's the freak hiding if it starts random casting? Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Like, it would be kind of amusing, too, because you can't dismiss it early. If it's cursed, it'll start, like, self-casting and, like, drawing creatures towards it, and you can't just, like, run away from them. Or you can, but then they'll just keep chasing you. Yeah. No, that's good. Like I say, this is, like, the beauty of crowdsourcing these sort of ideas, right? Because other people have ideas that can work, that can be very complementary, and they can poke holes in each other's ideas. That's like, this is why group work is a thing in the first place, even though we all kind of hate it to a certain degree. We only hate group work when there's a grade or a deadline on the line, right? If it's just us goofing around having fun, then everyone loves group work, because that's just you goofing around with your friends. No, this is good. I like this. I think this is a good item. Dispel good and evil. Dispel good and evil. Yes, the proper way to say it, too. Dispel evil and good. Pfft. So dumb. So dumb. Who did that? Who did that? For shame. For shame. I really like Sir Patrick's Glove of Ass Pats. I think that's really good. It just... I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just a simpleton, but God, that amuses me. Just really gets in there nice and deep to make sure that... make sure that it undoes those spell effects. I do actually... His was a cursed item, but it was a unique curse in that if it's a very specific thing, if Patrick uses the Glove of Ass Pats to cure someone of being charmed, it then subsequently makes them charmed by Patrick, because they find that very, very appealing. So stupid. Oh lordy. Oh lordy. I love it. I love it. I love this project, man. I love this project. I know it's probably not everyone's cup of tea. I know some people might feel that this is straying too far from the rules as written, and if that's, you know, if that's your system, then I totally get that. But goddamn, do I love it. Oh, do I love it. It's fun stuff. It's fun stuff. Even if I never used these, just the conceptual exercise of it is great. That said, as much as I love it, we've been working on this for the better part of 2 hours. Not quite 2 hours, but the better part of 2 hours. I think it's time we go and work on our campaign a little bit more. I think it's getting to be about that time. So let me pull up a couple other windows here. We want to pull up our map making tools. I feel like we're gonna need those today. Let me get those bad boys going here. Okay. Let's open some stuff up here. We need to open up our world map. We need to open up our region map. And we need to open up our city map. We'll get those going. Creating an ant race. They're roles and sub races. That's an interesting concept. You could look to, I feel like there are some existing races that you could look at as like a basic template and like take the approach of making modifications as needed. That might I feel like if you kind of like started looking, isn't there like a wasp like people? That's like they're not like a playable race per se, but they exist, and you could start looking at that and seeing kind of like if there's some applicable stuff that you could start translating. I don't know, though. I'm not the best person to ask with that kind of stuff. I'm really bad at balancing homebrew races and stuff. Yeah, hold on. I swear there is. Let me see something here. Let's go to monsters here. I mean, first off, what we can do, you've probably already done this, but let's go. We can just start by looking at the races, right? And you can just kind of look at them and see if there's anything that would be along the lines. Right, oh, that's right, they've got the Owlins now. Those guys are cool. I like the Owlins. Just conceptually and visually, they're fun. There's the Githyanki, which kind of are bug-like in their own ways. Man, they really did. They redid some of the art for some of these guys, didn't they? I haven't seen that recently. Like that's new for goblins. I haven't seen that. Hobgoblin. Oh my God! Look at how suave they made the Hobgoblin. Look at that guy, Mr. Steal Your Girl, right there. Wow. They're making him friendlier. Same with the Minotaur. Look at how friendly. Look at how chill that guy looks. He looks like a total bro. He's like Shaggy. Like Shaggy gone Minotaur right there. Oh, wow. I really like these. I really like some of these guys. Some of these new things they've got going. Look at that. Look at that suave satyr. The sea elf. I do like the concept of sea elves. You guys are fun. Portals. The Yuan-ti. Yeah, like look at that guy. Wow, they've changed some stuff up. Oh, now they've got the legacy. There it is. Oh, that's why they redid the art to go with the updates and stuff. That's why it's there. That's why they have all the legacies. Okay. All right, I see it now. I see it now. That makes sense. That makes sense. It's like, oh, why'd they just do that? But yeah, okay. Yeah, I get it now. I get it now. I understand. I love Loxodons. Oh, I think they're so fun. I have a few Loxodon people that in my world that I really love. Lizard folk and Loxodon for natural armor, Minotaurs and several others for natural weapons, for the mandibles. Yeah, you could probably like Frankenstein one together a little bit. But yeah, let's go to the monsters. Gosh, they've got some cool updated artwork here. We've got some cool things going on here. Ah, they're so fun to look at. God, that Hobgoblin. That Hobgoblin is just super amusing to me. Like, look at that guy with the sideburns. Like, he's got the mutton chops going on. This guy's got, like, I don't know. I'm getting some real Gaston vibes from him. Just look at him. Got the Simic for the multiple options for rolls. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Ah, man, these guys are so fun. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. We came here with a purpose. I'm getting distracted. We came here with an idea in mind. I swear there's like oh, I don't even remember where they would be. I swear I've seen them though. Would they be in humanoid? Let's see here. Like, I'm basically just trying to look at the pictures to see if there's one that I recognize. They were like, I feel like they were considered like a bag of nails. I just love the concept of how this guy came to have the name of Bag of Nails. Because isn't the naming convention for Tabaxi that they're named after, like, things around things that are around them or things that are part of their life or their society? And so, like, I just immediately imagine his parents sitting there and he's like the 9th kid they've had, and they're like, fuck, man, I don't know what to name. There's so many children. Name what? Look, there's a bag of nails over there. Call him that. I don't even care. Sorry. Anyway. I'm Tremor Sense as well. Okay. Yep. Hey, Garvidal. How's it going? Poor bag of nails. Poor guy. Poor guy. Poor guy. I swear there's like a humanoid wasp type of race, or like a bug-like race. That like I say, they primarily just exist as enemies. But like you could kind of look at them to try and like use them as like a framework to start building. Oh man, I don't know. And see, and now that I've thought about it, it's gonna bother me until I find what I was thinking of. It's gonna bother me, I know it is. I feel like maybe if we just do, hold on, let's see, let's unspecify, but I feel like I found them as like a desert creature. they were considered. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. Man, I don't know. That guy. No, that's not what I was thinking of. Bone Claw is ready. Sorry, it just... My mind had the conceptual symmetry of the names there. I had to do it. And that's the not legacy one. I like that they kind of specified the legacy versus the standard. Or not the standard, the new. So it's like if you don't like the originals, you can just kind of... Or if you don't like the new ones, you can just stick with the original. Here. Oh, one of them. Where are you? Where are they? I know it's in there. I know it's in there. People, everyone in the audience is like, God, just let it go. This is so boring. But no, I need to know. It bothers me. Those types of things that bother me. If I can't find them. The Githyanki, I always imagine. Did I not purchase that yet? I haven't actually purchased that yet. It's gonna happen, I guarantee it. I'll almost be willing to do it right here on stream. I'm not going to because I don't need anything from there at the moment, and I don't want to risk someone doxing my credit card information or some shit. Because people who are way better than me with computers can figure that shit out. And even if they can't, I'm afraid they eventually will, and I don't want it to happen. 3 keen. That might be what I'm thinking of. Hold on, let's search. Let's just search. Clear those. 3 keen. Is that what I was thinking of? Gosh dang it. How do you spell it? Hey, oh my god. Okay, just go. 3 keen. Oh, there's a space right there. Yeah, these are the guys I was thinking of. These are totally the guys I was thinking of. Yeah. Those are the guys. Those are the guys I was thinking of. Yeah, I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but that's kind of what I think about. What are you talking about? They're not there. At any rate, that's what I was thinking of. That's what I was thinking of. So, you know. 3 need the dash. Is that what it needs? No, I don't know what it needs. I don't know why it's throwing a fit at me, but at any rate, that's what I was thinking of. So I don't know. Look at them and see if that does anything for you. Hey, fresh to bake croissants. Pokemon if you would make the best lawyer. Jeez, I don't know. I don't know if I've thought about it that way. I mean, like, if I had to have a lawyer, I guess I would just go with the angriest, most violent looking one because people wouldn't want to, because most people wouldn't want to go against him. You mean Ho-Oh? I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, I would just go for the scariest one so that the jury would just want to vote for me so that it doesn't rip him limb from limb. Because he's Phoenix, right? Wow, that's a fun pun with a few different deep cuts. The King can rip a PC apart with those multi-attacks. Yeah, you can make that some of the higher level features of the race or something like that. But yeah, that's what I was thinking of. That's what I was thinking of. At any rate, I think did I get everything loaded up? Let's see. We don't need the empty ones. That one, this one's the empty one. We don't need that. And then there's our world. Perfect. 3 green. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Hold on. There they are. There they are. Yes, it's only challenge rating 1, but like that could be a good starting point for the first couple levels, and then you can start kind of building them up from there. But I mean, yeah, they're pretty insectoid, right? And so they've got some basic stuff here. The chameleon carapace, standing leap, multi-attack, bite, claws. I mean, you know, it might be a decent foundation to start going from there. I don't know. I don't know what you have in mind. I don't know. I could be sending in the completely wrong direction from what you wanted, but that was my first thought anyway. So, all right. So let's work on our campaign a little bit. Just the rundown for anyone who's not super familiar with the way my homebrew campaign, the way it's all set up. It all takes place in my homebrew world, which is this world, the world of Zeoria. It's a post-apocalyptic world. There was an event called the Unhinging, in which all kinds of rips and tears in reality and in between the planes opened up, and things got all kinds of weird, all kinds of monsters from
ethereal planes and elemental planes and everything started getting displaced, into the mortal realm, making things super dangerous, as well as these tears sort of started producing this like magical radiation type of effect on a lot of the places in the world. And so it made it pretty dangerous to live in pretty immediately. The only places that really survived were these handful of large cities that had proper fortifications. They had the right combination of good fortifications and being far enough away from any sort of any of these tears, any of these dangers, that they were able to properly fortify and fend off and sort of survive. Everyone else either died or escaped to one of these cities. A couple thousand years have passed. Things are starting to settle down a little bit. Some of the tears are starting to naturally close up, and it's getting a little bit safer to start exploring the wilds here. And so that is what is happening in the world. The campaign that we're writing takes place in this hex right here. And the basic premise is that this city of Phosphik and this city of Mofafetting are trying to build a new trade route, because right now the only sort of usable trade route that's like guarded and safe enough for people to travel winds all the way through here between a few different other cities. And so they want to try and expedite some trade and create a pathway going down here, and that's why we find ourselves in here. Our players are presumably part of that, and so here's the region map that we're working with, and so this is the progress that's been made so far. Now, the unfortunate part about this is that our players, as well as the rest of the crew that's part of this adventure here, have accidentally wandered into a dragon's territory. The dragon is kind of the owner and operator of the Golden Wind Plains over here. And so he flies down and he's all like, "Oi, this is my land, get out of here." And the people are like, "Look, man, we're just trying to make a trade route, because we're, trying to survive, and it's kind of hard to do when we can't trade resources with other people. Can we strike a deal with you to let us just make this road so we can just travel through here?" Dragon thinks about it a moment and says, like, "All right, tell you what. There's this place called the Hall of Wisdom. Supposedly there's something really, really cool and powerful in there. I want that thing. If you guys can get me in there, then I will let you build the road. It's locked up. It's got 4 magical keys. I don't have time to go search them for the keys. I'm trying to hold dominion over an entire like, chunk of the world here. If you guys can get those keys for me so that I can get into this Hall of Wisdom, then I will let you go ahead and make your trade route." And then our players, being, good players who are willing to accept the call to action rather than just say like, "No, we don't want to, game over," will say like, "All right, I guess we're going on a key hunt." And there's our campaign. The first key, so this is their city that they can kind of go back to. It's a small outpost city meant to make it so that it's easier for the crew to get resupplied rather than having to go all the way back north to Phosphik. They can just kind of go here, get resupplied, and continue on their way. Just makes the logistics of that a whole lot easier. But they can do some research. They find that the first key is somewhere around in here among the mountaintop giant tribes and everything who are living up there. So they go up there, eventually find the first key. Great, 1/4 of the way done. The next key is hidden down in here in the abandoned dwarven city of Kagdaral. They get there, find out it's not so abandoned. There's a bunch of Duergar there. Turns into a whole big thing. Eventually they can find the key, and then they get that key and they can return back. And then great, they're halfway there, living on a prayer. And then they do some more research and find that the third key is hidden way over here in Ashra Nalor, the abandoned elven city. Now the problem is the only way to get there is to either take weeks to go all the way around the mountains, travel through the mountains, either through giant territory or through uncharted territory, which neither of those are great options. Or the third option is if they just travel for a few days down to this abandoned city of Minadala, presumably it's still there. There was historically a teleportation circle. Minadala kind of had a collection of multiple teleportation circles to serve as sort of like, it's like that central international airport, right, where all of your layovers happen. That's kind of what Minadala was in a way. And so there's a teleportation circle that leads to Ashra Nalor, so you don't have to travel through all these dangerous areas. Just got to go through these plains, which are relatively well understood at this point in time, relatively safe, and they can go there. They get to the city. It's an abandoned city. They find out that the teleportation circle was damaged and destroyed by the one wizard who still lives there. But he's willing to help them remake that as long as they help him find all the supplies, because he's busy with his own wizardly things, which is kind of part of what this section is them as sort of like a side quest, learning more about this guy who kind of has a tragic history. He was the only wizard in town when the unhinging happened. He volunteered to stay and protect the city using his magic so that the other people could leave where it was safe and then eventually come back. A couple thousand years passed. He found ways to use magic in sort of in dangerous but only self-destructive ways, so he decided to go ahead and stick with it. Used the magic and got himself in, he's been alive for 2,000 years, but he's kind of had a mental break because he, like, deep down in his psyche, he understands that all of the people that he was protecting the city for are dead and not coming back, but he has nothing else to live for, so it's either keep doing this or die in his mind. So he keeps doing it, and that keeps him pretty busy trying to protect the city. So if the players find the stuff for him, he'll rebuild the teleportation circle. Players can also choose to sort of like have sympathy, learn about this guy, help this guy. If they so choose, it's a side quest basically. At any rate, it ends with them getting the teleportation circle to end up in Ashra Naloor. And we are in the process. We're getting close, but we still have a bit more work to do with this chapter of the story here in Minadala. And then after that, we'll go to Ashra Naloor, which is, I'm excited to write Ashra Naloor because that one's going to be a real horror, like a real survival horror type of place where there's just going to be all kinds of dark, nasty stuff going on there. And so to give our players a little bit of respite before they deal with that, Minadala is very much just like a monster hunt type of situation where there's just a whole lot of wildlife that's moved in, and so they're going to have to do a little hunting and poaching if they want to get the stuff that they are after. So it's basically just a lot of fun monster hunts and pretty lighthearted generally lighthearted when you consider the darker implications of the wizard there. But aside from that, right, that's kind of what we're working on here. So we've got, just for players' enjoyment, really, here's our map of the city of Minadala here. This is the wizard tower where he lives. And then they have to kind of travel to some of these landmarks to find the stuff that they need to help Mr. Wizard make the wizard portal or the teleportation portal for them. So that's kind of what we're working on right now. We have, I pulled this up. I think we're done with this, but I wanted to double check before we move on. I can't remember if we're completely done with the temple or not. So we're going to start there, but before we start, I need to run to the bathroom again, so I'm going to refill my drink, run to the bathroom real quick, and then when I get back, we'll dig into it, and we'll get some writing done. So I appreciate your patience. I will be right back, I promise. It's always so refreshing. So refreshing to go to the bathroom. I don't know if that's TMI, but I don't know. I feel like we can all relate, right? Is there anyone who doesn't find it refreshing? Maybe someone with like a kidney stone. That wouldn't be very refreshing. That would just be ouchy. That would just be very ouchy. So, I don't know. At any rate, let's see here. So it looks like, oh, you know what? I know what we still have to do. Wait, no, we did do this. We have our first visit, and then we have our second visit, which is where things kind of get destroyed and bunged up here. All right. So our map is done, and I think that probably means that our stuff is done. Like all of our writing and everything is done for that part. Yeah, we did. We finished it up. Sweet. I guess that means we're on to just the last section here. The very last section, which is it's like the hedge maze type of map. We already made the map. Hold on, I gotta open that up. I think that maybe part 4? I don't remember which they are. I should give them better names. Yeah, this is the one. This is our hedge maze. Ah, that's right. Kind of a cool little map that we've kind of come up with here. I like this one. Yeah, it's meant to be, so like the idea is that for this section they needed to get like some sort of like there's some sort of item. I don't think we like specified exactly what the item is going to be, but the concept is that it was going to be like a family heirloom that they could really only find in like this tomb of like all these dead rich people. So our players will go to the tomb and find, and find that it, like, because it would have been like, it's like one of them weird family things where it's like they bury the family, the ancestors, in their own little sepulcher or whatever you want to call it. And that's just what they do. And so our players need to go there, but in the gardens, the hedge maze garden that they had used to decorate this particular area has become flooded and is now just like this big hive of like crocodiles and giant turtles and stuff. And so like the idea was that like there's the hedges that are kind of overgrown and growing out in some areas here, right? But there's the big hedge walls that like, in theory, you could try and like kind of muscle your way through, but largely speaking, they're not super they're not meant to go through, right? Instead, you've got just like these little narrow passageways to go through, but then some of them might be blocked off by like giant tortoises that aren't aggressive but don't have any interest in moving, so you either have to kill them or find other ways around. That'll kind of turn it into a maze-like situation, was going to be the idea. Yeah. I like this. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. You guys, I like this map. So I think what we need to do, hold on, let's see here. We don't have really anything for this section done, do we? We don't. Yeah. Great. Okay, cool. That was a nice blank slate to work with here. So what I want to do, so one thing I've been thinking about with the way I've been approaching writing and all that kind of stuff is, I feel like I've been, and I've kind of talked about this the past couple weeks, about how in a lot of ways I've been straying from, my original, what originally gives me passion for writing these campaigns and stuff like that, which is really that I'm more about world building than I am campaign building, if that makes sense. Like, I love building a campaign, but that comes from the fact that I love world building. And I've gotten so caught up in just trying to mechanically make a game that I feel like I've kind of been forgetting to care about the world and the story involved in it. So in the first place, I want to take a bit more time to like flesh out the history of this place a little bit, sort of, add some lore so that it not only makes sense to why our players there, but why this place exists in here in the first place. Like kind of, I don't know that I want to use the word justify because it's a homebrew and I don't need to justify anything. I can just make it what I want. But you know what I mean? Like, it just, I need it to have a reason to exist is kind of what I'm after. So I want to do that. And the other thing that kind of plays into that is I want to do a bit better, and this is really going to be something that's more important to do when we get to our Ashran lore, right? When we get to our next section, and we're starting an entire new section from the ground floor. Is I want to be taking a bit more time to like storyboard the main beats of each of these chapters, right? To each of these sections. So like I like randomly assigning what types of dangers and stuff are going to show up in each room, because I feel like that does a good job of making sure that I don't just fall into my same old habits, right? But I want to make sure that I'm doing a good job of having there be clear story, role play driven reasons about why the players care about these places, why they're going here, what they're trying to achieve. I want to make sure that that's clear, because I'm worried. I'm not going to go back and edit everything, because it's largely just a hobby project. So I'm not going to necessarily go back and try to edit everything, right? Because that would take forever. And if we did that, then by the time I get to the end of it, I'd have new ideas and I'd have to restart the editing process, and I would never be done with even one thing. But moving forward, I want to be taking a bit more time with that kind of stuff and thinking about, what the story-based function of each room is, beyond just it being an interesting place for players to go and do some looting, right? Because the fact is if I add the story and players don't care about it, they can just ignore it, and it can still be a fun place to loot. But if players want story, and I haven't thought about that, it makes it feel kind of hollow and kind of silly to go there. So, yeah, exactly. So storyboarding helps a lot. So, like, I'm not going to go full-blown, like, writing panels and stuff like that, but I do want to just sort of, maybe even to my template, add a little section that just kind of talks about, what's the main story plot? What are the side story plots? What is the goal? What are we trying to achieve in these areas? So I just want to be a bit more attentive. So that's probably what that's definitely what we're going to start with here. And depending on how long that takes, that might be all we get to today. But personally, I'm okay with that, because A, I don't have any deadlines. And B, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And that's something I firmly believe in, and I definitely think that anyone can benefit from at least a little bit of that mentality in their life. If it's worth doing at all, it's worth doing right. So with all of that sort of, postulating out of the way, I'm gonna start randomly throwing crap down without thinking about what it is at all. No, I'm not gonna do that. But I want to take some time with this. So we have just some basic notes, and that's fine, because that's all I wanted to do there, just so I could like remember what the goal, like what the general setting of this place was. So no worries about that. But let's expand this a little bit. Let's start expanding this a little bit. Let's talk about the history of this place and talk about what our players are gonna want to do here. So I'm gonna make a new section here. I'm gonna make a section. Instead of floor-wide notes, we're gonna call this story. We're gonna call it story beats. I don't know why. That's what came to mind. So story beats. So the first thing I want to do is actually, you know what? I'm gonna history. So I want to talk a bit about I want to talk a bit about the history of this place, what it is, why it exists, and all that kind of stuff here. So this one's pretty straightforward. I don't think we need to delve necessarily too much into the history of it, but I do want to make sure we have a clear understanding of what the atmosphere and what this place is about, why it was built in the first place, and why it's here. So what we'll say is, it had long been a fashionable trend among those with means to have a family burial ground then the property this means within the property of the family, along with multiple generations living in the same house. The generations long past would stay with the family as well. Largely a symbolic fashion, some truly believed that it was good luck to have we'll say the spiritual wisdom of the deceased watching over the property. As such, large mansions typically would have their own tombs or catacombs. Oops, I can spell catacombs. Catacombs would have their own tombs or catacombs included on the grounds. This house, it's kind of weird to be like doing bullets in paragraph form like this, but you know, it helps organize it a little bit, I find. I don't know. It's all personal preference. Just know that I'm technically using bullet points incorrectly, and any middle school teacher, any middle school English teacher and above would tell you that what I'm doing is just not the proper way to use bullet points. But I'm an adult and I can do whatever I want. I'm not getting graded on this, so haha. Sorry, I'm very adversarial right now. Very insistent upon my own powers as DM here. Alright, this house was once owned by... Okay, wait, hold on a second. Here's where we can start doing some tie-ins, and here's where, like, the world building stuff comes into play. Golly, there's so much stuff going on in this section. We gotta zoom all the way up here. I wanted to see... Okay, something from the desired location. Elven charm buried with someone from the destination. Yeah, okay, so it's like there's some sort of heirloom or charm. Yeah, so I think what I want to do is, so because they're going to Ashra Naloor, right? So it, like the concept is like the magic, or the way that that Sis, our wizard, the way that he creates the... Oops, sorry, I'm banging my mic around here. My apologies. The way that he goes about creating the teleportation circles, he needs the like an item from the desired location. So in this situation, an item from Ashra Naloor. And so the best way to do that is to find, you know, perhaps a deceased person from Ashra Naloor who would have been buried with an heirloom from there. And so that's like the idea here, is they've identified like, oh yeah, this is an elven family that was like that would proudly display their family origins from Ashra Naloor, right? You know, just, you know, an immigrant family that's proud of where they came from. And so they're gonna go, you know, do some grave robbing and find this item that they're after. Is sort of the idea here. So we can kind of build that into our history. So that way it kind of makes sense. This is actually one of the easier histories to write because of the, like, needing the regionality of it. It, like, kind of has a story baked into it, which is great. Makes my job a lot easier. So, you know, yay. So this house was once owned by an elven family who had bloodlines that originated in the city of Ashra Naloor. His family found success as elven bow makers, but knew that the best way to sell such an item in profitable numbers was to go to where they would not have much competition. Competition. There we go. Boom. Hey, Thomas, how's it going? Good to see you here. Yeah, I know how to spell success. Huh. So, they moved to Minadala, and did indeed find success. Yeah, that's perfect. I like that. I'm doing well, thank you for asking. Let's see here. So they moved to Minadala and indeed found success. As their wealth grew, they found themselves falling into the trends of the wealthy people in town. Building a large mansion for the entire extended family, and creating a burial creating a burial ground on the property to honor their ancestors. Let's see here. After the unhinging, the burial grounds remained intact. No, I don't want to say that. I don't know. I guess this is kind of unnecessary to say exactly what happened after the unhinging. It's just been there. It's just there. Nothing's really changed about it. I guess I can just add a little bit here that says, if ever there was a place to find an heirloom from city of Ashran Nalor, it would be here, where people, if there's a place to find an heirloom with the city, it would be here, where the people who came from the city would be buried with mementos of where they came from. Boom, there we go. Simple as that. Alright, let's see here. Alright. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's all we really need. In fact, I'm going to just get rid of this. That just kind of fits right there. That's the history of this place. Simple as that. So now, so story beats will say main story here. So just kind of do like a little outline of what our players are intended to be doing, like what the intention is for our players when they arrive at this area. Players will have been told by Sis, who's the wizard that lives in this abandoned city here. Players will have been told by Sis that this would be the best place to search for an item from Ashran lore if they are let's see here. This would be the best place to search for an item from Ashran lore if they are to help. That's what I'm trying to say. They're to help him create a teleportation circle. This is no, it's short for his full name, which is very long. Hold on, it's up here. I don't even remember what it is at this point in time. He's got a very, very long name. It's like Xylo something or other. Ziltrosis Devoilican was his really long really long name, so he just goes by Sis the last few letters. That's how he gets referred to. So let's see here. Where were we? Right up here. Okay. Players will have been told by Sis that this is the best place to search for an item from Ashra and Nalor if they are to help him create a teleportation circle. Let's see here. Telephone Dragon, got it. That's exactly why we give him a nickname, because no one will be able to pronounce it and they won't even try. They'll just come up with puns. So we just give them a nickname. Simple as that. Alright, players will have been told by Sis this is the best place. Create a teleportation circle. Ultimately, they will need to enter the tomb to find item. Say there will be multiple different options. Any of them will do. Getting to the tomb itself will prove somewhat difficult, as it has become a swamp in the gardens, not in the Cardens, in the gardens. The Cardens are the royal gardens for the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. Okay. Almost swamp in the gardens where many dangerous creatures have set up shop. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. All right. That's right. Queen Shrek. Exactly. Okay. Enter the tomb to find an item. I don't know that there's actually a whole lot else that kind of comes down to this part. This part's pretty straightforward. The only other thing could be if we want to do some side mission type stuff. And this might be a really good opportunity to... let's see here. Let's do... side story items here. So there's... And we don't really need a whole lot because it's just one part of this larger chapter that we're working on. So it doesn't need to be a whole lot of stuff. So it's fine if it's a little simplistic with everything. But let's see here. So if we're... The one thing that I'm thinking about with this area, so we're intentionally making them go to an area where there is a lot of... There's going to be, some history and some access to stuff related to the city of Ashra Nalor, which is where they're ultimately going. So this is... I feel like if there was ever a chance, this is it. To give our players some clues about what they might find when going to Ashra Nalor. The tricky part about it is that most of what's going to make Ashra Nalor a really dark and like a really dark and messed up place to be is the arrival of the Drow after the unhinging, like after the city was believed to be abandoned. So most of the history that they would find from, like a family of elves that were originally from there, is not going to relate to what has turned it into such a horrific place. The only way to do it, the only way to introduce that type of stuff really is going to be through Sis himself, because he was the one who destroyed the teleportation circle in the first place, because he was worried about the Drow coming through, and so he wanted to stop that. So we can maybe have this be a place where maybe like we just have him when he's talking with them at any point when they're back at the tower. We can have him drop a hint, and then when they're actually at this place, it can probably just be more about what they can expect the generalized like structures and locations of the elves, the elven city to be like, right? So even if they don't know the type of people that are going to be there waiting for them, they can at least know like what type of city to expect. That's right, Ashra Nalor. That's right. So there's two facets there. I think what I want to do is clues about Ashran lore, and then actually wait, hold on. We'll just go ahead and do clues about the drow. So for Ashran lore, I kind of want to do, say, throughout the gardens, provide a actually, okay, here's what we can do. Throughout the gardens are various statues that are in differing states of decay. Those that we'll just say the statues that can still be read and understood will paint a picture of what the city was once like. We'll say name a few heroes, describe a few landmarks, paint a picture about the place. So just like little bits like that. It's all lore type stuff. The only thing I'm wondering is if we can say, here's an idea. In the tomb is a stylized map of the city. Stylized. Okay, yeah, there's no A in there. I was adding an extra syllable in there. Stylized. Right, in the tomb is a stylized map of the city. We'll say, not fully accurate, but can give players a starting point on where to go and how to explore the city when they arrive. So we can offer that little bit of clue to them, because I don't know that I want them to go into Ashran Nalor thinking that it's going to be all sunshine and daisies there. Like I feel like I kind of want there to be some tension in them when they're heading that direction, because it's meant to be like, it's going to be really dark, and this world is really dark. And while it would be kind of fun to go the midsummer route, right, and have it start off as supposedly this really fun, bright, happy festival that just gets darker and more messed up as things go, I think as I'm going into this, I really want to lean into the survival horror concept for this one, because we've gotten some 80s style rubber suit monster type of horror going on in this one, and we've dealt with giants, and we've now dealt with monster hunts and stuff like that. And so I really want to lean into that, because I think it would be a fun next step, a really dark one, where it's the enemies are largely unseen, yeah, I think that's kind of what I want to do. That's Thomas. That's going beyond just the survival horror and just going flat out gross out Saw level horror right there. All right. So yeah, I kind of want to. I like this idea of kind of giving them some ideas about what the city is, but then clues about the draw. I kind of want to say, occasionally, Sis will have moments of relative clarity. I hope you mean you would just put that in your game and not make human corn dogs, because I don't know that I want to deal with the moral implications of deciding what to do about a serial killer sitting in my chat. So I'm hoping you just mean you'd put that in your game. All right. Moments of relative clarity, where he will drop warnings about Ashran Nalor. The warnings, however, are fleeting and somewhat, oh my goodness, there it is, somewhat cryptic. Will mention at some point that he hopes they won't realize the portal is active again. No comment. Great. That's reassuring. All right. We'll mention at some point that he hopes they won't realize the portal is active again. And say, we'll say something about how he may have to break the circle again if anyone other than the players comes back through. The only other one that I think I'll add is there exists a journal. We'll just say there exists many journal entries regarding his struggles with Drow coming through the portal and his need to close it down. But I'm going to just do a very slim chance that they find exactly the right journal amidst 2,000 years of journals. So there we go. Yeah, I think that'll work. I think that's good. That gives us a few different things to think about here. And these ones are gonna be more about how like the air, like this part of it starts. And so what I want to do for that now, we can kind of go down. We can do like our floor wide notes. So these are just like the general areas and stuff. We've already got our XP breakdown. We've already figured out what our monsters were. Oops, I didn't write down what our fodder is. We have giant crayfish, giant snapping turtles, giant crocodiles. Oh, and giant toads. That's right. Okay. Just do the giant toad. What was that guy? Challenge rating again. Challenge rating once. 200 XP. Perfect. Giant toad. 200 XP. There we go. That'll work out. I think that'll work out. Okay. We got those. Okay, so long rest risks. Wandering monsters approach. We need to. Oh. So these are going to be set to medium. So if we're setting them to medium, that's 1850. We could do two. Oh wow, it's like exactly right. If we do 2 giant snapping turtles, and 1 giant crayfish. The hard part about a lot of these things is gonna be kind of weird if we mix and match the enemies. Cause like, why would a giant toad be hanging out with a giant snapping turtle, right? It seems like they would be like at different places on the predator prey chain going on there. It's the one thing that makes it kind of difficult. We'll figure it out. We could just do a whole bunch of crayfish. That ends up being like 1750. Pretty close. I guess we could do that for one of them. Let's just do, it would be, it'd be 1800. It'd be 1800 if we did 4 of these. That's perfect. That'll be fine. So one of the wandering could be 4 of the giant crayfish here. Copy that. Paste that right there. Hey, fish. Glad you're back, Thomas. I was worried. Alright, and then, you know what, we can just do, if we need, it'll be a little, okay, hold on, I want to just make sure we do, just for easy note-taking there. And then for one of them, we could just do, 9 giant toads. Yeah, forget it. Just like a big, huge herd of giant toads arrives. 9 the giant toads. And then we, that right there. That one will also be worth 1,800. So both of those wanderings kind of shortchange the medium difficulty battle a bit, but it's not going to be so much easier if it's only 50 experience points. And since those are bonus ones anyway, it's not going to really impact their ability to level up, I don't think. So I think that works out just fine right there. Alright, yeah, that's good. And then all of the other things are just generic. They stay how they are. That's good. Okay, so we are going to eventually get to our rooms, but there's one thing that I want to do here. I want to do, so a more fleshed out version kind of that storyboard that we just did here. I'm going to do this, but instead of it being a room number, we're going to say section, beginning, right? And so we can just kind of make this just kind of like a narrative process here. We'll say this section, like the others, begins in Sis's tower. Let's see here. He is telling them that he needs some sort of object from the desired location to finish the teleportation circle. Wowie. There it is. That's right, that's right. Everyone thinks they're under control, and then a giant toad shows up, and then he's got 8 buds, and then it's just game over at that point in time. And I'd probably quit. If I saw 9 giant toads roughly my size hopping towards me, I'd be like, peace. I'm not messing with it. Sounds horrible. Alright, some sort of object from the desired location of the circle. Players will likely ask where to find that, and this will mention the tomb of the elven family. There we go. Find that, and this will mention the tomb of the elven family. So yeah, that works. Our players being good friends, will accept the call to adventure. Because, like, here's the one thing I will say. And this might be a little harsh, and people can disagree with me, and that's fine. But if you're a DM, and you're with a group that just consistently refuses to accept the call to adventure, right, and they just, like, avoid whatever story beats and stuff you're presenting to them, whether it's for a good reason or not, if they just consistently avoid the game that you get, that you're presenting to them, get a better group. Like, I totally respect the desire to want an open world and stuff like that and not wanting to be railroaded. But the flip side of it is, if this open world presents you with a mission, accept it, be a good player. Otherwise, there's no game, right? Like, I always say that, and I feel like sometimes people are like, oh man, I don't know. Like, how do you get players to do what you're doing without railroading them? It's like after a certain point in time, it's just like, you know, it's like either we're playing the game or we're not. So, I don't know. Bit of a tangent. I apologize. So, but yeah. This will be... Our players will be good players. Will accept the call to adventure. Okay, so that's just kind of like our DM note there, just so we can kind of understand. You know, it kind of makes sense and remember what we're doing next time we come to this. So now we can just kind of do something a little narratively. The walk through the city today is an uneventful one. It seems that the creatures have picked other places to graze today, leaving your path unaccosted. And why are you being weird? I don't know why it's coming up dark like that. Fine. Instead of unaccosted, because apparently I'm so wrong I can't even predict it right for me. Leaving your path open. There you go. Open and even a little enjoyable as you soak in the warm sun shining above you. There we go. A nice friendly thing. To project a plot point once. Not going there. For a session or two until they realized they needed the green dragon scales. Yeah, that's the thing. That's like the thing. I've had players do that kind of stuff. I'll be like, oh yeah, there's this one thing, and like there's this danger guarding what you're after, and they're like, oh no, we're gonna not go there. Okay. What do you do instead? And then they start like saying random things, and it's like, okay, you know, and you just kind of ad-lib it, and after a while, it kind of gets to a point they're like, oh, we're not getting anywhere. It's like, yeah, they told you where you needed to go. You needed to go deal with a dragon. This is Dungeons and Dragons, you psychos. Why are you avoiding that? Isn't that the one reason we're playing this game? You weirdos. Accept the call to adventure. That's why some of my favorite characters to play are like chaotic stupid ones, where they just kind of agree with everything and just go ahead and play. You know, it's like it's the FromSoft effect, right? Anyone who's played those games, your character, I guarantee 90% of the people or more who have played that game don't have a single clue what anyone is asking of your character. But you always accept it and just kind of go with it because you're like, you know what? This is what we need to do to progress the game. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to keep killing stuff. Like, even if you don't understand what's happening, just accept the call to adventure. You're playing a game. It's stupid to not accept the call of adventure because then there's no game. There's no game if you do that. Come on now. Come on now. Basic stuff. Anyway, tangent aside. Path open and even a little enjoyable as you soak in the warm sun shining above you. You can hear perhaps some of the elephants or rhinos you had seen the other day making noise. We'll say a few abandoned city blocks over, and from a distance there's something actually quite pleasant about listening to them in their, we'll just say listening to them in nature. Boom. Just paint this like pleasant picture. I kind of want to just like give them this like, oh wow, this one actually might go really nice. Just like give them a nice happy morning, and then they arrive there and it's like ridden with all kinds of like crocodiles and crap. So they're in trouble. Thomas Stewart, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're having a good time. I can move on without it. They needed it for a potion. Yeah. That's honestly, that's actually kind of a good way to like force their hand. Is like give them a situation where it's like, yeah, you could be fine without this thing, but why would you want to be fine without this thing? Sounds like it would be a really good idea for you to just kind of do it right. I've been lucky. Most of my groups have been largely willing to just say like, you know, DM has said that the DM has pointed this thing out. It must be important. Onward to adventure. And they just go. And like, I do my best when I am a player to be that kind of character, right? Because like there's a certain degree of like, yes, you want to roleplay your character, but if roleplaying your character would be, you know, quietly sitting at home reading a book, then you don't have a good D&D character. You know, after a certain point in time, you need to just go ahead and be a little stupid with your character and let them get into danger, because that's what the game's all about. But yeah, so we can kind of give them that little bit of enjoyment, and then we'll just kind of lead them into the scene of the area here. Eventually, you reach the house described by Sis back at the tower. It is multiple stories of unique elven architecture that truthfully clashes a bit with the neighboring houses. Still, it has its own beauty, and it has its own beauty. We'll just leave it right there. Still, it has its own beauty. Just a nice simple sentence like that. Head me head adventure. Absolutely. Still, it has its own beauty. Around the side yard, you can see what appears to be we'll say a very thick and overgrown hedge maze. We'll say peeking up. I don't want to describe this. Like, I want it to be clear that they need to go through the hedge maze, just because I don't want them to balk and wonder where they're supposed to go. I want it to be clear to them. I'm going to just say, peeking up over the tops of the maze, you see what appears to be a small building of sorts. Not seeing any other structures around, you can surmise that this must be your destination. I need to see something actually. Hold on a second. We need to pull up app here. I might want to make just a small change to it and like add a little bit of extra hedge, because I don't want them to try and get cheeky and be all like, oh, well, we're just going to go around and see if there's a back door. Right, because it's like, again, you know, that doesn't really satisfy the whole, except the call to adventure. So I'm thinking I want to just, like, have the hedge maze extend and have this be at, like, the center of the hedge maze rather than at one end of it. I think that'll do a better job of kind of forcing the players, because then even if they do explore around the edges, then they'll be all like, oh, shoot, but it's, like, all blocked off. Because I'm also going to describe the hedges as being, like, it doesn't look like it just because I had to be, you know, economical with the space for the size of it that I wanted to make. So I couldn't make it multi-layers deep. But the idea is that the hedges are super thick, and unless they want to spend hours trying to like chop at these things and clear out space, they're just not really going to be able to make their way through, because it's just this thick entanglement of living plants, you know, with thick gnarled stumps and branches and stuff that aren't going to be easily plucked away or uprooted. Is sort of the idea that I want to do, because I know we could all conceptualize in most hedge mazes just kind of being able to go through the bushes, but obviously we don't want them to be able to just do that, because it defeats the spirit of the game, which, again, you know, why are you playing if you're going out of your way to not accept the call to adventure? Although the flip side is, I guess I could see the argument of like, oh, we're not denying the call to adventure, we're just trying to be creative. So yeah, magical bushes, you can kind of do that. That's kind of the beauty of D&D. You can just kind of hand wave things away by saying it's magic. There's something kind of beautiful about being able to do that. I try to avoid doing that as much as possible, just because I feel like that's a real good way to induce some eye rolls from your players. But as a baseline, yeah, I'm with you. You can just kind of do that and hand wave it. I mean, I've kind of got some blocks going on here by having the hedges grow out from there, but that's kind of more so just meant to be extensions of these hedges. And so I feel like I need to, if I just do like a line here and then a line there, that'll pretty much clear it out. So I'm going to do that right now so I don't forget about it. Let me go to our wall tool. And what I've been doing for it is putting a wall there, so that way because using Dungeon Draft, when also using it in conjunction with the Foundry virtual tabletop like I do, it manages line of sight. but the bushes are just background layer objects, whereas the wall is something that will actually block line of sight. So if we put the walls in there and then hide it with the hedges a little bit, then it makes it so it's like the hedges will actually block your line of sight a little bit. Sort of the goal. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. Like, just doing the it's magic hand wave for things that would like completely derail things. Or the other thing that I'll do is like, if I need something to be a little bit not rules as written for the sake of telling the story. So like a really good example of that is like the goal, the sort of immediate goal of trying to help Sis remake the teleportation circle. It's like, is the way he's doing it necessarily going to be the canon way of creating a teleportation circle? Likely not, because I kind of made it up, but I needed a vehicle to give them some game to actually play and, you know, give them a reason to explore this city a little bit. So it's like, yeah, he needs stuff from the city. You guys got to go through the city and do it. You know, and so it's like that can kind of help manage that a little bit. But yeah, I try to use it for, like you're saying, for things that'll just like really disrupt the whole flow of the whole campaign. So yeah, exactly. Kind of like the potion. It's like sometimes you just make things a little different just for the sake of having a story to tell. And if you have good players, they're going to be totally fine with that. It's usually only the rules lawyers that no one really likes that will. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say rules lawyers that no one likes. Some rules lawyers know the right and wrong time and can be super helpful, but you know what I mean, the kind of people who won't let it go. They might have issues with it, but if you're just playing with good people, they'll be like, sure, yep, that's what we need to do. Great, we're just trying to play a game here, and if that's what we need to do to have a reasonable game, then that's what we're going to do. So, all right, I need to run to the bathroom one last time. I'm going to do that, refill my beverage, and then we'll sit down and we'll spend this last hour getting a bit more writing done. So I appreciate your patience. I will be back very shortly. There we go. Sorry, that took just a couple seconds longer. I remembered that I had a load of towels in the washing machine that needed to go to the dryer, so I wanted to take care of that so I didn't end up with mildewy towels. That's always gross. Sorry, I also needed to fix up my blanket there. I could feel my headrest sliding down as my big booty slid the blanket down. I could probably take this thing off now. It's warm enough. I don't really need the heated seat effect that this electric blanket on the chair provides, but I don't know. It's kind of nice that it just sort of like protects it because my cat likes to sleep on it, and she refuses to let me clip her nails. And so if she gets like super happy and starts kneading, I would prefer that she knead the blanket. That's more easy to replace than the multi-$100 chair. I invested in this chair, and damn it, I want it to stay nice. All right. At any rate, let's see here. I think any other structures around, you can surmise that this must be your destination, right? Oh yeah, and then we were working on. I need to add just a couple bushes, object tool. Yeah, for like the used objects, see, we can just kind of find some more bushes here. Let's unsnap these so we can more free to put them as we see fit there. Just a few like that. We can kind of have this bump out a little bit there. Stuff like that to make it look a bit more overgrown and unkempt. I almost kind of want to like kind of scraggle these up a little bit. Make all this area look a bit less groomed. This is meant to be a garden that's been largely uncared for, you know, for a couple thousand years at this point. So, oops, wait, hold on. We can undo that one because that's supposed to be a little gap there. Yeah, I want these to look a little less organized and under control here. Like I was kind of in a hurry last time I did this. Wildlife do go like that sometimes, don't it? Yeah, that just looks a bit better. Thematically seems more appropriate for it to be a bit more unkempt. Okay, but like this one, kind of expand that out a little bit there. I mean, it's a little that I'm using just like the same bush asset rather than mixing them up a little bit, but I don't imagine people are going to really notice that type of detail. Not when they're in the middle of fighting giant crocodiles and crap, so I think we'll be okay. Yeah, this really actually is looking a lot better though. I like this. Bump that out a little bit. On. Yeah, see, I got like that side. Looks like I started doing it in some of these areas and then I got tired or bored or something. I was like, whatever. Fine. And just ditched it. Better. Yeah, like this one. That's just way too manicured for it to really be a sensible scraggly, not cared for hedge maze wall. Pay attention to the crocs. I mean, I don't know if I'd say I'd prefer it. I'd prefer if I didn't have to pay attention. But if those were there, that's probably what I would be paying attention to. There we go. Yeah, that looks a bit better. That looks a bit less organized. Just a little bit more right there. And actually, now that we did that, snap to grid again. Boom, there we go. Just because it'll block the view a little bit, you know what I mean? Actually, I think we can kind of do the same thing here. Boom, so that way it's like the wall kind of matches the shrubbery as it's going, and will block their view a little bit. Oh yeah, there we go. That looks a bit better. I like that. I think that looks a bit better. It just looks more natural. You know, like it's never gonna look perfect, but it's better. Don't let good be the end, or don't let perfect be the enemy of good, right? Isn't that how the saying goes? I do notice. Snap that. Got to do a little bit. There we go. There. Ah, see? I think that looks quite nice. Maybe we can actually add a little bit more over here. Never heard? Oh, you haven't heard that saying? Yeah, the saying, it's like don't let perfect be the enemy of good, right? Like the idea is like don't let perfectionism distract you from you know, success as it comes. You know, it's like, you know, even if you don't, like, you know, if you're, oh, I don't know, like if you're trying to build a table, right? don't let the fact that you're not able to make it this like really fancy hand carved ornamented table get in the way of the fact get in the way of being happy with the fact that you built a good functional table in the first place. You know, it's like that type of concept, which I think has value. You know, it's like you gotta do it in moderation, because it's like, you know, you still have to have something that's like good. You can't just have complete garbage and be like, you know, you can't have a useless table and be all like, oh well, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Like, well, no, but that's not even good. So it's like, you know, grain of salt. But yeah, that's kind of the general phrase, and I think there's wisdom to it. So, that right there, so it matches the corner there. Alrighty, okay, that's good. It's not just good; it's good enough. All right. Yeah, so we've got that. Why is that this must be your destination? So now we can add a little bit of more detail here. So we can say, unfortunately, it doesn't appear that this hedge maze will be the same casual stroll that your walk here, here has been. You can see that this entire property seems to have flooded over time and become a bit of a swamp. Yeah, we can just do that. It seems you'll have to wade through it to in order to reach the tomb, which appears to be in the center of this hedge maze. And then I'm gonna add one more DM note here, and we're just gonna say we'll just say DC, you know, it doesn't have to be difficult. We can say DC 12. DC 12 to notice right away that there seems to be movement coming from the water in the maze, suggesting that they aren't alone. They're gonna fail anyway. In some way, shape, or form, the dice shall decree. They always do. It always comes around. Alright. So that's good there. And I think that gives us a good intro, and I'm pleased with that, because I feel like we've done a better job than I've been doing lately of actually sort of conceptualizing, like, you know, like I say, storyboarding a little bit, and just really kind of building this up beyond just a here's map with random things, go nuts, right? Like it's nice to kind of have a bit more reason, you know, to why things are the way they are here. So I'm happy with that. I'm pleased with that. Hey Gabby, how's it going? Good to see you. Let's see. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Let's see here. So we can do room. So this one we're only gonna have 10 rooms. So we can just go ahead and copy, and we can just do the copy paste to make this quick here. 3, 4, 5. Actually, you know what? No, hold on. I want to do this differently. Oops. Where am I? Okay, there we go. That's what we need. Okay. We'll do this one so we can keep our template going there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Did I count that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oops. One too many. That should be it now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Beautiful. Now we can do numbering. And there. Okay. Wow, you know what we need? It's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've had to organize and design or lay out some rooms, because we've been doing them because we the last one we did 2 of them at the same time, practically, because it was like the players going to the same place a couple times in a row, but it changes a bit. But what this means is, it's been a while since the last time we did it, but what this means is I gotta go get my dice, because we gotta randomly lay out some rooms. Yeah, you're damn right, woohoo room layout. Let me go grab my dice, and we will decide what's going in what room, and we'll start figuring all this stuff out. All right. I love when I get to use my dice. Doesn't happen super often because I play both the games that I'm playing are played online, so we use virtual dice rollers built into the virtual tabletop system, which is like, it's convenient. It's actually really streamlined too, because it automatically, you know, you can it plays nice with the rule sets and stuff, so it'll automatically roll the dice that you need when you just click the attack or the whatever you're trying to do. So it's really nice, and it helps keep everyone honest. But flip side of it is, I don't get to use my dice collection. I've got such pretty dice, and I love my dice, and it's sad that I don't get to use them very often. So I'm gonna randomly choose which set we're gonna use today. Hold on, we need a 10, 8, 6, and 4 for this process. So let's see. We are going to be using, hold on, let me see if I can get the camera to focus on it. It's always a struggle to get it to like focus on not my face. Hold on, I gotta like hide my face. Come on, there it is. Come on, zoom in, focus on it. But no, not my face. Focus in. Focus in, you can do it. Come on, camera, you've done it before. Damn it, my face was there. Okay, it's not gonna do it. You can still kind of see the color. They're metal dice. They're metal dice that have green faces with like a dark metal bordering going. So that's what we're doing. That's the set of dice that we're using. Pull out the one. There we go. And then 4, which is downright sharp the edges are here. Boom, there we go. Alright, get the spare dice kind of out the way here. Spend a lot of money on dice. That's me too. Some people go for the minis. I don't go for the minis. I go for the dice. The dice are more fun to me. More utilitarian. Minis, it's always depressing to me when I only use them like once and then it gets shelved. You know, like as a player, it's one thing when you just get your one minifigure for your character and you get to use that same one. When you're DM, it's like, yeah, I spent like $30 on this big giant dragon thing. We used it for 2 sessions and now it just sits on a shelf. So it's like I always go for the physical dice. Yeah, exactly. Only using the physical dice during DM rolls, or for me, occasionally one of my groups that plays online, we will, when we get the chance, try and play in person. We'll have like special in-person sessions, and then I get to use all my dice, and it makes me real happy. But you know, playing online was the way. It seems to be the easier way to get people to actually commit to a regular game. You know, it's like for some reason that little bit, not having to do the, 7 minutes of driving to get to each other's places. Like that's the one that does it. So, hey, whatever gets me to play. But let's go ahead and do some room assignments here. The one thing that's worth doing. So I have specific things that I like to do in each room. I have a few different versions of how I do things that I kind of go with. I know my template by heart, and I actually have a little checklist that I made, a little check sheet with all kinds of instances, so that way I only have to waste one post-it note for like 15 room sets here. But I have it all kind of already predetermined what stuff I need to put in any given dungeon. And so what I'm gonna do is just see if there's anything that I know needs to get mapped out in certain areas here. I don't think I really have anything that needs to be done one specific way for any reason. I should press save. It's been a minute since I've done that. So let's see here. Ice dice for your birthday. Yeah, I was gonna say, Gabby, I feel like I remember you mentioning the soap dice and stuff. That has the dice in it. I feel like I remember you mentioning that at one point. Current online group is all over the world. Yeah, that's part of that. That's part of it too. It helps you connect and play, and that's true as well. I've got for my games. We're not. I wouldn't say all over the world, but you know, some of us are in different cities. Most of us are kind of nearby each other, but we have one or two people that are friends that are living in other cities, so it's easier for us to all just be online. So that's a fair distinction. It can be that can play a role in it for sure. Let's see here. Looking at this, I think the only thing that needs to be one specific way here, the only thing that we need to do is in 6 we need to make sure we have just the reward like what they're after. But I actually want that to be otherwise safe and empty, mostly because when they get into this area, I want to be able to describe like it actually goes down into, you know, like an underground crypt type of setting. And I just don't have space to kind of include that whole big thing on here. So it's going to have to be theater of the mind, and it would be jarring to do battles on the map and then suddenly be theater of the minding it for the rest of it there. So I think I want to just do that. And in fact, to sort of add to that, I think or snap on here. Yeah, I think if we do that, kinda, yeah, I think that'll do well. The only other thing we might do is, I guess we could do shingle, but I don't know. I kind of like the mossy plank roof. I think that actually kind of fits what we're going with there. Just because it's supposed to be all kind of overrun and stuff, so I think that works. But yeah, I think that'll do. So yeah, we need to put, I do want, then that was room 6. So room 6 needs to be, so this is the one room that doesn't have a danger. This will be our safe room. The reward, what we're going to do is we're going to do lore. And it's going to have the lore in it, because that's where we're going to put that map from like the side mission like we talked about. And then we'll put teleportation circle component. We'll just put that there, so we know that that's what's going to go there. So we can, just off my checklist here, we can mark off the safe room, and then we can mark off one of our lore rooms as well. We've got those ones all accounted for. And I think that's good. So I think what we can do for the rest of it is just kind of randomly assign it. And I am thinking about modifying some of these things a little bit more. But just because we've already kind of committed to this method for this particular chapter, I kind of want to stick with it, just because it would bother me if there was a drastic change somewhere in the middle of like this one conceptual location. So I do have some changes that might be coming for the next section when we get to Asher and Allure, but for now, I think we're just going to stick with this. So room number 1, we'll just start going down the list here. Room number 1. What? Show me behind room number 1. That's going to have an easy battle in it. Easy battle. And the reward, show them what they've won. That's going to have some potions in it. So let's see here. So boom, boom. And then we gotta mark off our potions. There we go. We'll just say potions. I'm not entirely sure how it's gonna make sense for there to be potions in the middle of a swamp, but we'll figure it out when we get there. Like I say, it's as much a creative writing exercise as it is creating a game. It's kind of fun to challenge myself to come up with explanations for why things are the way they are when we randomly decided in the first place. So let's see here. So behind door number 2, the danger is, that one's gonna have a puzzle in it. I'm not sure how we're gonna do a puzzle in the middle of the swamp, but that'll be the fun thing to figure out when we get there. So we'll just worry about thinking about that. And then the reward is, that reward is going to be, they're gonna get some more lore. That makes sense. If there's like a puzzle in there, maybe there's like a puzzle associated with one of the statues that we kind of mentioned there. So we'll do lore. I am gonna need to add in statues to our map. I'm gonna save and close this. Make sure that it's saved, but we're not using it. So it's kind of confusing, the whole tab hopping process there. So yeah, I'll need to lay out some statues in here. But I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that when we actually, like, I'll put those in there once I decide exactly which areas are gonna have statues that were sitting under the water. Yeah, I mean, with the statues and like with the crypt and stuff, like, we're definitely kind of establishing that there's man-made stuff going on. So yeah, hiding stuff under the water in general is gonna work. Hey, that's gonna be kind of a convenient little thing for us to utilize, for sure. Okay, so that's that. Show us room number 3. Reroll. No, we can't do 8. We only need 7, but I can't use the D6 because there's not an even chance. There we go. So that one's going to have... that one's going to be where the boss battle is, according to this. Let me see if I'm okay with that. 3 area. Because I don't always like the boss to necessarily just be in, like, the last room or whatever. I think that's kind of anticlimactic. Not anticlimactic, I should just say a little too predictable sometimes. I don't know, I wouldn't mind putting the boss in either 5 or 9 here. And forcing the players to deal with it. Hold on, what was the boss gonna be in here again? Giant crocodile. Giant crocodile does need some space. Actually, you know what would be kind of cool? What I think would be kind of cool. I'm gonna do something a little different here. I'm gonna do something just a little bit different. We're going to put in boss crocodile starts in room 3. Anytime the players move to a different room, have the crocodile move to a random room next to where it currently is. If they make excessive noise, it may come after them. But otherwise, they will fight the croc when they just so happen to cross paths with it. I like that. I like the idea of a mobile boss that just kind of wanders around a little bit. So he'll start in 3. So we'll say boss starting spot. Oops, shoot. No, that's supposed to be in 3. My bad. There we go. That's what I needed. Boss starting spot. Yeah, I like that. I actually really like that. Like, it's a crocodile. It would kind of move around. It might be hunting some giant toads or something. Who knows what it's up to? Who knows what that guy's doing? He probably doesn't even know. Crocodiles don't have huge brains. He might not even know what he's up to. He just knows he's up to something, and he's gonna get to the bottom of it, whatever it is. But that works. I like that. All right, and then the reward for room 3 is going to have that's gonna have one of our little rune items that we were working on beforehand. So we'll go ahead and say that one's going to have a rune in it. So that one will definitely have a statue that perhaps has a rune as part of it. Great. Neato gang, super duper. All right, next one. That one is going to have a medium battle. Oop, mark it off. Medium battle. And then the reward is... perfect. That's the one that won't have any sort of reward at all. It'll just be an empty room. Haha. Gotta keep them on their toes. You can't give them free stuff all the time. Gotta keep them guessing. Alright, next one. Going to be... that's gonna be the hard battle McCormick. So that's hard battle. Boom, 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 boom. And then the reward is going to be more potions. Again, not entirely sure how it's going to make sense for there to be potions in the middle of the water, but we'll get there. Maybe it's in the middle of the stomach of one of the creatures they kill, because it just like saw the shiny things and swallowed them whole, and then players can rescue those potions if they decide they wanted to start like hunting and skinning the creatures for pelts and stuff. Gotta make some alligator skin boots, you know, they're in fashion. Okay, so room 7, you have, that's gonna have an easy battle in it. Easy battle. And then the reward. Oh gosh. It's always embarrassing how difficult it is for me to pick up a stupid D4. My big fat fingers can't grab the pyramid. It just like keeps like sliding out of my fingertips. I can't get a good grip on it. These big giant fat fingers. Alright, the reward is gonna be just some lore in here. Potions need rescue, and that's right. They've been I mean they were consumed, but not properly because they're still in bottles and stoppered. So it's really just a disappointment to the poor things. They thought they were gonna have an awesome successful end to their lives, buffing some creature, and instead they're still just stuck in their bottles. Alright, this next room has... Ooh, this one's got a trap in it. Sweet. Trap. And then the reward will be... Your reward for dealing with that trap will be... money. There's gonna be some treasure around there. Razor. There we go. And then, let's see. Number 9. That one's gonna have an easy battle. The battle. The reward will be... The reward will be more lore. Relord, if you will. I know I will. Lore. And then by default, that means our last one is going to have a medium battle. And the reward is going to be a little bit more money. There we go. This is canonically die one. Potions. And that potions are self-aware. Yeah, I mean, you know, I always like to imagine that if like food was aware when it's in food form, right? That it would be like it would be happy to finish its life as a good meal for someone, right? Like that's what I like to think. And the reason I like to think that is because it makes me feel less guilty. And I'm just really all about making life easier for myself and avoiding difficult concepts. Like, what if I were torturing the food? That sounds too difficult for me to care about. So, you just go for where they like it. Putting stuff in the moving. Yeah, moving, I feel you, Gabby. Moving is not a fun process. There's a reason why I will happily continue to pay, as long as I can afford it, pay rent in my same apartment rather than moving. Even though there might be nicer apartments, there might be cheaper apartments. The fact is I can afford this one, and I don't want to move. I don't want to do it. Last time I moved, I even hired a moving company to come do the hard work for me because I just was that not wanting to do it. I get it. I get it entirely. Sorry, I'm closing up my dice bag because we are done with the dice for the moment. Yeah, it wasn't cheap, but hiring a company to do the moving for me last time, that was an awesome decision. I don't regret it. Been like 3 years almost, and I don't regret it. Not once have I regretted it. It also didn't help at the time because my parents are getting up there. It's hard for them. They can help me move small boxes, but they can't help me move furniture. And like the reason I was moving in the first place was I had finished grad school and all of my friends left town, and I was the only one left in town where grad school was. And I was like, well, I don't want to stay here. But that means that, you know, I didn't have any friends to help me move. So it's like either figure out how to move a couch completely by myself or hire it out. So I went with hiring it out. it was the right call. So I buy dice. Oh, we'll see them sooner than next year. Maybe next month. I don't know. We see them fairly often. I definitely use writing as an excuse to pull them out and use them more. So that's it. We'll just leave that stuff there for now. Put it away later. So great. So we have our rooms kind of established here. Sort of figured out how it's all gonna fit together. Yeah, I'm pleased with this. I'm kind of pleased with what we've gotten done today, actually. Like it's always hard. Like, it doesn't visually look like a lot when all I've written is a few paragraphs, you know, a little bit of an outline, and then mapped all of this stuff out. But like, that takes a lot of mental power to kind of come up with all that stuff from scratch. So I'm really pleased with the progress we made, and we got a little bit more time, so we can maybe start thinking about some of these rooms a little bit more. Yeah, this has been a good, productive day. I'm pleased with it. I am pleased. Color me pleased and happy. Yeah, see. So I guess we can just kind of start describing the rooms a little bit here, and just adding our details and just start building it. There's nothing else really to do as far as framework goes. So we've got, let's see here. Room 1, yes, the entrance right around there. What color would pleased and happy be? I mean, I guess I would lean more towards pink, like, you know, tickle me pink and stuff like that. So I guess that's what I would like to. If you're tickled pink, that kind of means like really pleased and happy. So I guess I would go with like a pink. Purple would be fine. But yeah, I guess that's what I would go with. It's a good question, right? I feel like it's different for everyone. I feel like we all sort of imagine and perceive colors a little differently. I mean, there are some trends like red and orange tend to be more like aggressive, whereas like green and blue tend to be more relaxing. But you know, all right. Anyway, room number 1 here. It's got an easy battle, so as they go up, there's just gonna be some creatures that they gotta deal with. Easy battles are worth, what is it? 950 experience points. We could do 2 giant crayfish just like sitting there hanging out. So let's just add, so as always, black text is stuff that's like intended to be like read out loud to players. And when I'm describing these rooms, I like to kind of make it sort of a narrative thing. So that way later on when I'm actually running a session, if I'm just having a day where I'm just not really doing great at ad-libbing stuff, you know, maybe it was a long day at work or whatever, then I don't necessarily have to come up with stuff off the cuff. I've got like a written description. It might feel a little scripted, but I can at least offer my players something enjoyable, you know, something pleasant as a way to describe what they're seeing, rather than me just going, I don't know, there's like swamps and a hedge maze, and look, some giant lizards are attacking you. Right? It's like, that's not fun for anyone to listen to. So I try to offer up a bit of a written thing that I can just sort of like read aloud to kind of cover it. Make a script, but use it more as a guide. Yeah, that's kind of what it usually ends up being for me. I kind of make that script, but like I just kind of use that as a way to remember what the important parts are and then narrate it, and just kind of do it off the cuff depending on the mood of the night. But like I say, this way it's kind of an insurance policy too. So that way, if I'm having a night where I'm just not ad-libbing well, then it's like, yeah, well, at least I know that I can write a decent paragraph that makes sense. That way I can just describe it to players and it's good enough. Oh, excuse me. Oh, body wants a siesta. All right. As you approach the... Hey, I know I pressed that P button twice. And the reason I know it is because I don't know it, but I'm a human and I know more than you, computer. On the fly, come up with something better to say what's in the script. Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's easier when you're doing it off the fly to make sure it fits the mood of the night, because some nights are going to be more playful, other nights are going to be more serious. So it's easier to make sure you're matching the mood of what the players are after. Any given session. That's for sure. That's for sure. But yeah, like I say, the script just has, it's good insurance. This is good insurance because I'd like to think that normally I do a pretty good job of coming up with stuff like on the fly, off the cuff, however you want to say it. But the fact is I don't always do that. I don't always do well with that. Some days are just better than others. You know, that's just how it goes. Nothing wrong with it. But yeah, so as you approach the entrance to the maze, you can immediately see that this is going to be more difficult than simply navigating a confused set of aisles. 2 giant crayfish. The crayfish, is it a crawdad? Is it a crawfish? What is it? It depends on where you're from, because it's regional dialect. Kind of like, do you say pop or do you say soda? Or are you a real weirdo like the people down south who says a Coke for everything, even though that makes no fucking sense because a Coke is a specific one? One thing if you use the name brand for something like Kleenex, okay? It's like you say, oh, can I have a Kleenex? No one's got a question. It's like, oh, do you mean a Puffs? But it's like, yeah, if you say a Coke, if you're like, hey, can I have a Coke? They say that for all sodas, right? They're like, hey, can I have a Coke? Like, okay, and you get them a Coke, and they're like, no, I wanted a Sprite. It's like, well, then fucking say you want a Sprite, you idiot. Or if you're just trying to be general about it and you wanted to ask about the questions, ask like, okay, what kind of soda do you have? I never understand that one. I don't know. Maybe it would make more sense if I lived down there and heard them say it, but it just freaking weird to me. Yeah, I say soda, which is actually funny because regionally speaking, in my part of the U.S., pretty much everyone says pop. Is Pepsi okay? No, I wanted a Mountain Dew. Say that, you psycho. What are you doing? Yeah, regionally they don't say Pepsi. Why does Pepsi get the slight? They got it. Why do they gotta do that to our boy Pepsi? Sheesh. Anyway, you approach the entrance to the maze. You can immediately see it's going to be more difficult than simply navigating a confused set of aisles. 2 giant crayfish sit half submerged in a pool of water by the entrance. They don't see you right away, but you get the sense that they aren't going to like you trying to just squeeze past them. And then we'll do a DM note. The 14 to approach completely unnoticed. We'll do that. So it's like if they want to try and sneak up to them, they can. But because they got to kind of like splash through water and they're kind of approaching them from the front, it's going to be pretty difficult to get that sneak attack. Well, DC 14 isn't pretty difficult. It's middling. But I don't know. That's a greater than 50% chance that they fuck it up. So call it good there. Besides one sneak attack, one player getting to get up there and get like a stealthy first round, that's usually not a game-breaking amount of advantage, so don't worry about it too much, or at least I don't. Yeah. And then we're gonna, oh wait, hold on, I needed to stick with my convention here, though. This is a easy battle, and that'll be worth, hold on, we were doing the 2 crayfish, that's gonna be worth what, 900, wasn't it? Giant crayfish, yeah, 2 of those to make up 900 because it's 950. Yep, there we go. So 900 XP. Boom. Underline. Boom, boom. There we go. There's our formatting. That's how I like it. That's what I like. That's what I like. Oh boy. That's right. Alright, yeah, perfect. So then we can just do 2. Oh shoot, I don't need that to be a DM note. I need that to be a flag because we can indeed tell our players that they are facing 2 giant crawfish. I feel like that's a pretty fair bit of information to get them. I don't think that's too meta for them for us to provide that for them. So 2 giant crayfish, both worth 450 XP a pop. Bada bing, bada boom. Alright, simple as that. Golly, the potions. What on earth? How on earth am I going to do this? why would there just be potions randomly? The tricky part here. Oh, excuse me. I thought it was a soda. I don't even know what it is anymore. We talked about it too much, and I have no idea. Yeah, they have to. You get their 15 cents a soda instead of a pop. But see, now that has the opposite effect of being confusing, right? Because then it's like 15 cents. If you were to say 15 cents a soda when someone asks how much does the taffy cost, then they'd be like, that makes no sense. I didn't ask about the soda, you idiot. I asked about the taffy. What do you have, a taffy flavored soda? What the hell are you talking about? Language is hard, man. Language is super hard. How do we ever understand each other? Holy crap. Holy wah. Alright, giant crayfish, and then the reward is just gonna be potions. And what I'm just gonna say is I feel like there's two ways that you end up finding potions on any of these creatures. One is in the stomach, right? And I think that makes the most sense for like the toads, because I don't feel like a crayfish would really do a whole lot to swallow a human whole, right? Like they're kind of nibblers when it comes to food. It'd be a pretty gruesome sight actually when you think about it. Excuse me, apologize for yawning. So it's like the giant toads and maybe the crocodile could have some potions in their tum-tums. And then I think for the rest of them, what it's going to be is maybe there's like a half-eaten corpse with like a leather satchel nearby. And it's like, some adventure at some point in time got the rough end of the crayfish. And then their satchel just happens to have a few potions in it. Hi, kitty. Did you want to come up, sweetie? Come here. You want to come up? Come say hi to everyone. Look, there's her tail. She's not tall enough to show up on the camera, but there's my kitty. She's just going to come here and bother me. Because she feels it's time for dinner, even though it's not. I know you're gonna come bother me, aren't you? I know it. I know, she's a sweetie. There's her tail again. Are you gonna come snuggle? You wanna come be my editor? Okay, yep, bump the microphone, make everyone go deaf. That's perfect. Perfect. Hey, Alexian, how's it going? I know, hi, kitty. Here. Hold on. Say hi to everyone. There she is. There's my darling little baby girl. She's a butthole, and I love her dearly. I know, you're a sweetheart. You're a jerk, but you're a sweetheart. I know, she's very hungry. Because we've recently had to adjust our schedule so that I'm getting up an hour earlier, which means that she gets breakfast an hour earlier, because like I pretty much have to feed her right when I get up, because I get up, grab a brush, and put a little makeup. Sorry, no, that joke will never get old to me. But no, I get up out of bed. And I pretty much immediately have to get ready to go to the gym so I can get my morning workout in before work. Speaking of work, what's this? I don't need to worry about that. You suggested the 4-word horror story here. I don't think you've suggested it, but I am aware of the concept of a 4-word horror story, where it's like trying to come up with one sentence that instills the most horror. I'm familiar with the concept. So let's hear. So yeah, with this one, I think we're gonna go with potions, just on like an eaten up corpse or something like that. So let's say with the, oops, hold on, that needs to be capitalized. With the crayfish, dispatched. I know, hi, sweetie, I see you. There we go. 2 cups of vanilla extract. Well, see, even still. Depends on what you're making. Are you making a cake the size of, a bedroom? In which case, 2 cups of vanilla, that might not even be enough. Just saying. I think context is everything there. Alright, with the crayfish dispatched, you are able to take a closer look at their stomping grounds here. You notice quickly that there are what am I trying to say here? That there are many skeletons of what appears to be a mix of people and creatures that lost their relative, or not their relative, lost their own fights with the crayfish. Mostly it's just bones. Actually, no, here's what we'll do. I'm gonna insert a DM note here. And we're just gonna say DC 14 to notice the lone leather satchel among the skeleton. And then after that, if they get that, then we can read out loud to them. You notice a single leather pouch caught under some of the bones. Looking inside, you see a few potions that appear to still be sealed and usable. Boom, bada bing, bada boom. Should be just about enough to make a cake the size of Miami. No way. No way. No way. Pro tip when baking, okay? Pro tip when baking and when cooking in general too. When you read a recipe and it tells you how much of a spice or a flavoring to use a little extra. Use like 25 to 50% more depending on what it is. Because they always err on the side of less because you can't take it out. If there's someone, like if you're using a spice, right? If you're making something spicy, you can't take spice out once it's made. But you can add spice in if someone wants it spicier. So, when you're saying 2 cups of vanilla, like, yes, that's a lot of vanilla. A cake the size of a city? Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Not even close to enough. Not even close to enough. If a recipe calls for like a tablespoon of vanilla, put an extra teaspoon in there at least, right? Put an extra teaspoon at least. It will make it much more tasty, and that's how they get things to be so tasty at like bakeries or in like packaged goods, because they will just load that shit in there because they know ultimately that's what people want. So add the little extra there. Kitty, your tail is hitting the microphone and you're gonna make people go deaf. Okay, bye. Yeah, the potions are captured plasmoids. Valexian, you're talking about the trap room. That's later on. This one's supposed to be a reward. I don't think they want that. That doesn't sound very rewarding at all. That just sounds absolutely horrible. Oh boy. All right, let's see here. Yeah, perfect. I think that's good. Oh, we need to put down exactly what the potions are. I'm just gonna give them 3 greater healing potions because it's balanced for a party of 5, so that gives a couple of them some healing potions. Potions are genius. Lexian, you are really going off the rails here with these potions. It's just supposed to be healing potions, man. You're going nuts over there. Deaf for 1d4 hours because of this cat. Yeah, she has that effect. You should hear her when she's mad at me in the morning for not feeding her faster. That's I'm pretty sure my neighbors wake up from that one. The racket she makes. Isn't that right, you little turd? Yeah, I'm talking about you. So entitled. Push some more crocodiles. I don't think they'd fit. They'd be like little baby crocodiles. It'd be adorable. Alright. What kind of time we got? Yeah, we got enough time. We can try. Oh, but it's the puzzle one. I don't know if I have enough. I don't know if I've got enough time to come up with a full puzzle. I guess I could do a different one. We could do a medium. Here, we'll describe a medium battle without any sort of reward. That'll be. I've got time to do that. I've got time for that. Medium battle, and it's gonna have. So hold on. Medium battles in this one have 1850 experience points. That's right. And we already kind of had a couple going on there. I mean, we can just kind of steal some of these. As you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna just like 10 giant toads. Hold on. Wait. Room 4. Let's make sure we got room for 10 giant toads. Let's see here. Room 4. That's gonna be a cramped one, but I think it'd be pretty funny to see a bunch of giant toads, just like a big huge pot. You ever see? Okay, hold on. This might be a regional thing, just from where I grew up. Did anyone ever have the thing in like their garage? If you grew up in a somewhat rural place, where suddenly like one day in the garage you'd have like this big huge swarm of these tiny little toads that are about like, yay big, and there would be like 20 or 30 of them. Just like oftentimes they'd be like in a corner of a garage is where I remember always finding them. Like they would kind of get themselves stuck in there. Maybe they were chasing after moisture in the garage. And there'd be like 20 of them all hopping over each other. And it was the most fascinating thing because they were these tiny little guys. They weren't tadpoles. They were tiny little toads. They were like, yeah, like I said, yay big, you know, like eyeball for scale. They were smaller than my eyeball. These tiny little guys. And they'd all just be like, all just hopping over each other. Imagine that, but they're like toads that are like 4 feet tall. It'd be horrifying. Oh my God. That'd be horrifying. All right, hold on. I'm falling behind on the chat. What do you guys got? Potions made of phoenix tears, the taste of healing fire. Ooh, yeah, there you go. That'd be like a nice. It would taste like that new spicy Mountain Dew. That apparently I haven't tried it, but apparently it's just like pure lime juice. Oh boy, 8.5 toads. One of them tadpoles that has 2 legs but no more. See, making the same but cold. We should cancel each other out. Yeah, minty spice. No, that just ends up with that's how you end up with big red big red chewing gum. Oh boy. Potion of stabilization. Super 1d4 healing potion. Shields only unconscious players. Oh yeah, so it's basically smelling salts is what you're saying. That's fair. Kind of a cool idea. All right, let's hear. So medium battle, yeah, we're just gonna make it 2,000 XP. Add a little extra XP, they'll be fine. And we'll say, and it's gonna end up having 10 giant toads, each worth 200 XP a piece. Boom, there we go. I love it. I love it. Oh my God, it's gonna be so crazy. Okay, so here we go. As you round the corner into this part of the maze, you freeze. You find yourself facing we'll just say more giant toads than you ever would have expected in such a small area. I kind of want to set a scene here, and we'll say, there is a moment of stillness before the toads erupt in activity, hopping over each other to be the first to try and eat you. There we go. Perfect. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. Has no effect on people that have already died. I mean, honestly, in a world of magic, sometimes you gotta specify that kind of stuff. I get it. And then let's see here. We just need to empty, and here's what we're gonna say: no reward, just toads. No reward, just toads. So many toads. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. An extra room done. We did it. And I mean, like, there's kind of like 10 minutes, but I got laundry to fold before I gotta go teach, do some coaching for my kickboxing gym here. So I think that's a really good place to call it. We got a lot done today. I'm really pleased with how much stuff we got done today. Like, really pleased with it. This was a very productive session. So hell yeah, go team. All right, let me bring us over to just chatting here so I can do my sign off. Thank you so much to all of you guys who joined me. I appreciate you guys coming in. Lots of cool ideas. You guys are some creative mamma jammas hanging out there. I love it. I absolutely love hearing all the stuff you guys come up with. It's a lot of fun. And it makes streaming so much fun. It's like, you know, like I always say, I love when you guys come in with all these great ideas, because if I wanted to just like silently write, I would never stream. So, you know, it's what makes streaming so much fun. So I appreciate you guys. So today's Thursday, which means we will be streaming tomorrow. My usual schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, starting at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time Zone, going till 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time Zone. Mondays and Thursdays are when we do our D&D writing, and then it's Tuesdays and Fridays are when we do some video gaming. Right now we started on Tuesday. We started a playthrough of Tell Me Why, which is an interesting Life is Strange-esque story type of game. So we'll be continuing that tomorrow. So if that's of any interest to you, feel free to stop by. If you're just here because you like the D&D stuff, then stop back next week on Monday. We'll be back doing more of it. But that's what we got. Either way, if you want to stay connected, I do have my my Discord server. Feel free to get yourself connected in there. I do announcements. I like chatting with people, sharing ideas about different D&D stuff. It's a small community, but it's fun. It's fun, and people have lots of creative ideas there. I love it. So we got that option. Other ways to stay connected, I got my Twitter, EnviroStreams on Twitter. I put announcements about when I'm going live, and I also just share idiot thoughts that float through my head from time to time. So you can follow me there. If you also, if it's what you like, I also have an Instagram, EnviroBoyStreams. You can follow me there if you're interested in, like, like I just mentioned, I coach kickboxing and I do Muay Thai kickboxing and stuff like that. I do a lot of rock climbing. So if you're just curious about some of these other things that I mentioned that I do outside of the streams and stuff like that, follow me there. It's a great one. And then the last one too, to stay connected, I do have my YouTube channel, EnviroBoy on YouTube. If you ever miss a VOD but or miss a stream and you really want to see what was going on, or if you want to go back and see my backlog of stuff, I put all my VODs on YouTube. It's just this big repository. I don't really ever do anything with them, but they're all there. They're all there if you're interested. So go check it out there. Hell yeah, kickboxing is awesome. I love kickboxing. I've been doing it for a little over 10 years of my life at this point in time. Martial arts for like 15 years of my life. Muay Thai kickboxing for like 10 years of my life. I love it. I love the sport. It's such a great sport. So yeah, like I say, you can see little clips of me training and stuff like that on Instagram. So, check me out there. There's my pitch. There's my self-centered sales pitch there. But regardless of how you stay connected, regardless of the next time I see you guys, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Like I say, it's tons of fun. I love doing this. It's a really good time, and I appreciate you guys choosing to spend your time with me. So I think that's all I got. That's all I got for today. So take care of yourselves. I'll hopefully see you tomorrow. If not, I'll see you next week. Either way, I'll catch you kids on the flip side. Okay, bye.